Never thought I'd hear your voice again, and now you're taking up my mind. One spark to ignite the flame, and then it happens all the time. And I'm feeling every little thing you say to me. Wanna wake up and ditch the city. Break out, these walls are caving in, and you're a tidal wave. Yeah, take me back when you said we can do this until we're dead. Just a little bit farther, we're breathing underwater. I'm keeping your heartbeat like a drum. We can be kids out on the run. There's nothing better, I'm just glad we're young together. Silhouette, tell me where you wanna go. Your smile's looking dangerous, and I can feel the afterglow. I'm believing every little thing you say to me, spinning you around until we're dizzy. Caught up like a boat in a hurricane, and you're a tidal wave. Yeah, take me back when you said we can do this until we're dead. Just a little bit farther, we're breathing underwater. I'm keeping your heartbeat like a drum. We can be kids out on the run. There's nothing better, I'm just glad we're young together. I'm just glad we're young together. There's nothing better. No oxygen, breathe you in like this will never end. And your heart beats like a drum. Now I'm glad we're young. Yeah, take me back when you said we can do this until we're dead. Just a little bit farther, we're breathing underwater. I'm keeping your heartbeat like a drum. We can be kids out on the run. There's nothing better, I'm just glad we're young together.
Yeah. space station just sent NRG to the moon. Well, now it's time to crash land down for some collegiate Rocket League education. I'm Vaudeville. We got the Champ League show crew here on the desk for today, and it's going to be a great time. We've had so many weeks of action leading up to this, but now it comes down to some Division I schools facing off against each other. But gentlemen, before we get into any of that today, Seb, Taco, and Bass, welcome to the show. How are you guys feeling? Start with Seb going down the line.
Oh, listen, we just watched some insane RLCS Rocket League, and now we get to see our own insane little world operate in CRL. We got some insane matches throughout the course of the day. I couldn't be more excited.
I feel like a lot of that is also like we're talking about, oh, you know, this is go crazy how the matches. No, this has actually been like a nightmare scenario for analysts where like, oh, we have to predict rankings and who's going to win, which has been awful. I think I've never seen the desk have 2 back-to-back sweeps in predictions last week, and all of us get them wrong 2 straight series. I don't think I've ever seen that in our entire careers on the desk.
Taco, I don't think I've seen you crash out over having to rank more in a DM before.
No. I was all caps. I was all caps screaming at these guys. Literally, this doesn't make sense.
I got to avoid all of it. I didn't have to look foolish. I didn't have to look wrong. I will only do that here today, because today doesn't get any easier. Legitimately, most of these matches are a coin flip, so good luck to all 4 of us.
It's going to be a great time to try and predict how these matches will go. Good luck for you using your channel points in chat later on. But we have a lot to get through, so let's get things started. With the CRL format, for those who are new here, don't know what Collegiate Rocket League is, Seb, break it down for us.
Yes, we have 1 split throughout the course of the whole season. This is a completely revamped format from previous years. The top 4 move to the championship that we will have later in May, and then the bottom 12 of the league play will be going to the LCQ. So even though we have 16 teams in, only 4 make it through, and the rest have to go to the LCQ. We have an open circuit, which earns you points to get into that LCQ. The top 8 move on to the LCQ, and then lastly, of course, with the last chance qualifier, it is a huge double elimination bracket with only the top 2 move on to the championship. It's very reminiscent of old, huge, massive brackets that you would have seen for previous world championships and the like. And it's a banger format. I've been loving this.
Gonna be a fun time just to see exactly who makes it through to that. But we've had 2 opens go down so far, and we have some winners to talk about that made their names highlighted in the stars. Taco, why don't you tell us which ones to look at?
Well, a big thing about a lot of these is also noticing who didn't win necessarily. We've had a couple upsets in Pool 2 specifically. We actually had UANL. That is a Mexican roster that actually does come in. They play pretty far, but they were going up against St. Clair Gold, technically kind of the B team that is trying to make it in. And they did get that upset. They won that bracket. That's huge for them because, yes, these are all points-based. So even if you don't win the pool, you get placement points. It's really important. But being able to get a win in any of these 3 opens is massive for these implications, particularly, Bass, when we start looking at the standings.
Yeah, standings are kind of all over the place at this point. It's A, because teams didn't necessarily find consistency through 2 events. Some of the only teams to be able to do that are going to be BPC up at the top, Columbia, and GMU. But it's also because we haven't had everybody play in every single one of these events. So the results kind of go all over the place here. Like we said, it's going to be the top 8. They're going to find their bids into the LCQ at the end of the season here. OC being on the line has got to be one of the weirdest factors. But again, like I said, they haven't been able to play all of the events. They ended up 3rd in this one. They played the first one, but they're 3rd in this one because they have a sub. So with only 3 total events here for the opens, it makes it really, really locked tight. Every single event matters a ton, and currently for the teams that are within that clinch position, they're looking good going into our 3rd and final open. Again, we do want to remind everybody, this is not the last open. We've got another open 3v3 coming up as well. So if you want to maybe join this list of teams, give yourself a chance at the LCQ, sign up. Sign-ups are closing, so we want to see everybody in this as much as possible.
I actually believe signups are closed at this point too, just to interject.
Never
so
mind.
no more chances to get involved. Yeah, you just had to already be signed up at this point in time and locked in. So best of luck to those teams. They'll be competing this upcoming Thursday as well. So we'll see who makes it out of this list, or even any new faces potentially making it forward into that top 8. But let's talk about these league play standings here. Seb, you weren't able to join us for your power rankings. So how do you feel things are shaking up so far with the teams trying to make it into that top 4?
I think that Maryville are still on fraud watch for me personally. I think they are number one, but I think we need to see them play more. And regardless, this is our top 4. Fisher being in that top 4, I think with the matches played, you know, they are exceeding expectations, no doubt about it. But the monster that is Northwood has awoken and has said, hey, I'm going to start playing my matches now, and has done so, and they look incredibly scary in doing so. Cumberland still landing around the top end as well. Winthrop as well starting to play their matches, and we're going to see both Winthrop and Northwood play later today. That is going to be a barn burner. And then of course throughout the bottom end we have Akron Gold, Concord, Ball State, Syracuse, Akron Blue, Indiana Tech, and Wichita rounding out the bottom. It's still incredibly competitive to get into that top 4 spot, most importantly, and today will only solidify that.
There's 16 teams. You have to play 15 matches, and at most we've seen, 6 games played from a single team? So a lot can change here in a matter of days, or even today specifically. Fisher, as we mentioned them, are playing 3 of their matches tonight. One versus WVU, another versus Indiana Tech, and then Davenport to round things out. But speaking of Davenport and some of these other squads that are out there, we do have 4 matches lined up for you today to go over. Starting off with a Division I matchup between Syracuse and Wichita State. Both these teams towards the bottom looking to turn things around. But again, Syracuse, only 2 matches played. I mean, you talked about it, Seb, a little bit with Fraud Watch, but I feel like every team is a bit on Fraud Watch because we just haven't seen enough matches. People had spring break, whatever other commitments they had to go through, but now it's time to lock in. And Maryville, they need to do that against Davenport here to keep things going towards the upwards trajectory of playoffs. And then we have a doubleheader with Northwood. Northwood versus Winthrop, 2 playoff teams that we saw last semester, and then Ball State, which is always like the little team that could. It feels like in the brackets, every time we see them, they tend to upset some people in other competitions, but we need them to do it in Collegiate Rocket League. And Taco, I'm going to actually throw a question to you before we get into the day. Which is your marquee matchup?
I think you'd be psychotic to not say match 3. I think Northwood Winthrop is really where we're starting to power scale, because we're still at the point in the semester where we're like, finally, Northwood and Winthrop, you play your matches. What's that? They lost? Then you're already like, okay, so no one's in a perfect lineup. These are 2 teams you'd probably in that conversation. Now we really get to see, all right, this was a classic matchup in previous semesters when we saw them, and now in the spring semester where it's every game matters so much. Head-to-head is going to matter so much. 2 teams expected to finish in that top 6 area are going to play and see who wins that head-to-head battle. I think that's going to be a rager, but I would not really shy away from that Northwood Ball State either. Ball State is a team that always finds a way to elevate its way upwards and have a really high ceiling, so who knows what we're going to get out of that one.
Anything can happen in these matches, and that's what makes Collegiate Rocket League so great. But we have our first one on the docket. It is going to be Syracuse facing off against Wichita State. Passion U, as they would like us to call them. And, well, they bring all the energy possible, especially in their first series, the first ever series we saw for Collegiate Rocket League from this program and from them as well. Took Maryville the distance, which is what we were talking about, Seb, why Maryville was kind of on fraud watch. But how does Syracuse change their fate here in this series and show a little bit more consistency that they've been lacking?
Well, I mean, I think when I look at Syracuse and Wichita, this is 2 teams that we need to see more of and that we need to see them really prove themselves. Wichita, we saw from the previous week, they are like chaotic evil right now, right? Boone is like, we just want to ruin everyone's chances at making playoffs, which that makes a team incredibly dangerous. You look at how Boone was reacting to that and how they were playing in their upset last week, and now that they have to play against a Syracuse who is still trying to find some of that consistency as well, not hitting the previous peaks that we've seen. I mean, they have the roster to make it work. It's just about finding these pieces and whether or not they're going to be able to handle the teams around their level like Wichita.
I like to quote esports WSU in the chat. Shout out to the programs actually being there. Passion U versus winning state. Well, they did win. We saw them last week get the reverse sweep against Cumberland and get the victory, the biggest upset that we've seen so far. Easily. I don't think it'll be an upset necessarily, though, if Wichita do come out. But the big thing is a lot of people, even fast, we saw one of the players during Champ League saying that Passion University might be a top 10 team.
I mean, this is a team that we just haven't really seen enough of. They've played, I believe, one series so far at this point?
Two
Two
series,
so far? Yeah, very few, very small sample size, I should say, at this point. But the teams they've played against, they've looked good against. They took Maryville, I believe, to 5, which is a very quality team at this point. They've proven themselves to be winners as well. They just came back from a LAN that was hosted in Myrtle Beach about a week ago, won the LAN over some other notable teams, including ETSU. So again, this is a very, very quality Syracuse squad. I wouldn't be surprised if they win here, but I think also similarly, again, Wichita's on an upswing. Like you said, there's a lot of power in being that upset team, just being here to play spoiler. And unfortunately for Wichita, with the current position that they have on the leaderboard, that's kind of all they're playing for. Syracuse, the sky's the limit. They could legitimately go from here on out to finish, I think, what, 13-2 would be their best? It's unlikely, but they've only just started the season realistically.
It's possible. We could see them come out on top. But the big thing here, the big question that we have, and I'm sure chat is wondering as well, is who is going to win it all in this series? I mean, we have a best of 5 between 2 Division I programs, and we've been waiting for them to join the fold in Collegiate Rocket League and league play. We almost saw Syracuse last go around. Wichita, I know they've been kind of tooting their own horn a little bit, and then were eventually able to make their way in. So both of these teams have something to prove. Taco, what do they need to prove to themselves to come out on top?
That they can compete at this level. I think that's the one thing that a lot of schools that enter CRL, they win and they're like, oh my goodness, they're so hyped, they're freaking out, they're high-fiving, they're fist bumping, they're getting food, and then I feel like they all settle down and start gonna stare at the table when they're getting their celebratory meal and like, oh god, we have to play really good teams now, and then they have to play against like the best of the best every week, and I feel like that's the struggle. Syracuse yet to win a game so far in league play. Wichita just got their first one, and it had to be a reverse sweep to do it, so really shows like the level of caliber. Like these teams would really kick the pants off most squads they play in collegiate, but this is the creme de la creme. This is the very top level. So I think in order to get this match, these are two teams that are kind of fighting to get out of the bottom of the table. So this is going to be kind of a blood feud a little bit going on between these two fan bases.
Yeah, Wichita currently sitting in last place with a -9 game differential, 1-4 in their series, 5-14 in games. Whereas Syracuse, they've only played 2 matches, as we mentioned, 0-2 in those, 3-6 in games, -3 differential there. So a little bit difference between how they perform, but we haven't seen enough of a sample size from Syracuse. But with that fast, let's get into predictions. Who do you got?
Taking Q's, I'm taking Passion U for this one. Look, Wichita, I think they're a quality team. I think they've proven themselves to be very, very quality, but I think that Syracuse know they kind of need to show up today and kind of show out for the entirety of the scene. If they want to be power ranked top 10, if they want to even be in the conversation for maybe not making the playoffs, but even being somewhere around that top half of the league, it's got to go against teams like this. If they can't beat Wichita, they're going to struggle against most other teams in the league. I think this is a proving ground for them. I think this is going to be a test that they overcome, and I think that Q's comes out on top.
Okay. We got one for Q's. What do we have for you, Taco?
I'm also going to go with Syracuse. I think they are the better constructed team. I like how they play a little bit cleaner than Wichita State, but also we're not delusional for thinking that. We actually, this past week, asked some of the players within other teams within the league to rank their top 10, and Zanil on Baylor said that he has Syracuse as the number 9 team in all of CRL. So clearly we're not just saying like, maybe they're a little bit better. I authentically think, and other players have that faith in Syracuse to get the job done.
Okay. We got 2 for Syracuse. Do we get another here, Seb?
Yes, because I look at how we've seen Syracuse play in the past. It's the team that has peaked very highly. I know at different times, all of us have had Syracuse in our top 10. And although they've taken a couple losses, they're pretty hard losses, okay? You got Akron and you got Maryville. This is difficult to actually play against, right? So I'm not going to judge them too harshly for it. We know what their peak is, and we know that on a good day, the like Taco mentioned, the caliber of players that they have on that roster can take, really fight up against any roster within the CRL league play right now. So I'm still taking Syracuse. I think they're running away with this one.
Okay. So pretty handedly for Syracuse on the desk. I'm going to break the mold this time, though, and go Wichita. We've seen the proof in the pudding. No curse, of course, but we also saw that they had it in them to reverse sweep a team of Cumberland that a lot of us were saying was top 10 caliber for a reason. They were a team who looked so good against WVU as well, and they looked pretty decent, at least during scrims from what we've seen recently. So Wichita, I think they have it in them. They also have more experience with matches in the Collegiate Rocket League as a whole for now. And I think that's going to edge them out at least a little bit against this younger squad of Syracuse who are looking for a win. But this is a Division 1 matchup to go down in the record books of Collegiate Rocket League. We have Pasha University versus Winning State. We'll see who's going to rise to the challenge and get their first win in this Division 1 matchup. It's going to be a great one. It's going to go down to the field, and only one of them will rise to the challenge.
Passion U and Shocker Nation. Rabid fan bases, though, do not win matches. So Syracuse and Wichita State are going to have to do it the good old-fashioned way to open up Week 3. Through demos, mechanics, and hitting bangers, Seb.
Passion is indeed right, and I think we want to see that on the fields here. I think both these teams, they're looking for that next step as to really propel themselves into the next stage of CRL League play, and this is that first step for both these teams. Wichita, they're looking to play spoiler, and Syracuse, they're just looking to get their series started. As we are currently waiting to get our series started, I believe the players are just about ready to get into the match.
So players have said a very weird glitch has gone down. Apparently, they joined the match and their car had changed to a different preset. I don't know how that happens.
Now I want to know the preset.
Yeah, I want to know the preset because clearly, I mean, I am a firm believer that if you look good, you play good. That means in everyday for soccer, I always had to have really nice cleats or I had some nice like organized kits and whatever. And for Rocket League, I mean, yeah, if you join and you have an Octane, that's one thing. But if it's like a bad preset that looks kind of mid, like you're not going to play well. You're not going to win a series on CRL like that.
Yeah, man, if I go to the gym and I look like a bum, I feel like I'm not going to be able to lift as much as I want. You want to feel good, you want to look good, and that's that's a mental factor. But either way, glitch to get us going. I think either way, both the teams are going to be able, they're professionals. They know exactly how to handle this. So they're going to quickly change their cars. But talking about this matchup, I mean, again, we are still so early in the season. Now both teams are into the server. We are ready to get going here in our first match of Week 3.
It's about time, but I really do mean what I said on the desk because I don't lie on desk, unlike some of us. But no, I do think that Syracuse does have a lot to play for, but same with Wichita. They have to belong in CRL. They have to make sure they're not at the bottom of the barrel. And honestly, you ask them both, and they say they're fully confident that they can play at this level. And you can tell because the confidence is there. Tiz pre-jumping that flick from Gababy. Doesn't connect, but maybe a future one will.
I have a feeling that Syracuse are going to be coming into this incredibly confident. They know exactly how good they are, and they want to take advantage. Gababy trying to get around it as soon as possible to get the flick on the open net, but the rotate comes through early enough. Gababy will get the demo for good measure. Knight looking for a pass, but no one is there to receive as Aqua tries to chase it down.
Lesser inverting himself off the ceiling, so trying to fake out Aqua, and does so. Going for the bump on Boone, but he's not going to be able to connect. Gababy got to go backwards, just gets the save off. Knight's going to send that middle for Aqua. Should be an open-ish shot, but still an angle to really be handling. And ultimately, I will say, both teams having looks at the goal, but that's really all they are. Nothing really substantial to be able to build up yet.
Nothing at the moment. You can see that how Wichita are playing, trying to go for more of a 50 game. Boone was just trying to play off the individual 50, but couldn't get much out of it. Tiz trying to carry off of it, almost gets the aerial bump as well. Lesser tries to put it through, but it bounces off of the fumble that happened in the corner post. A shot on just high again. Syracuse inching closer and closer. Will this do it? Gababy can't put it through.
Knight, that was an incredible read. He jumped actually past the read, and I'm thinking, how are you going to stay on top of that? No, he actually falls down into it, so that might be a good save, but you need to make even more. That's actually an accidental pass. Lesser makes no mistake. I suppose 19th time is the charm for Syracuse's offense.
Took enough, but unfortunate for Knight, just couldn't get the defensive play in order to keep it away, and it was a perfect setup for Syracuse. So it will be Syracuse coming out early for this one. I imagine there's an arena full of people who are just cheering at the moment as all of the players seem to be playing on land together.
Yes, and always nice to see all the players playing in the arena. They also have a massive blue screen behind them, so a lot of meme potential if you get the picture at the right angle. I'm just saying that to the social media manager, but they can do whatever they want, and apparently Lesser can do whatever he wants as he's just dancing past players. In fact, he might just leave this one for Gababy, who then spikes that one high. If not for that last-second flick, I think Tiz was licking his lips ready to get a goal. He's trying his best, but that backboard says no.
Gababy can chase this one down. Aqua over to Tiz. Knight in the waiting. Is he a bit too far forward, though? This could be dangerous, especially as Lesser tries to chase it down. Disrupt. And now Wichita, they're on the back foot, almost no boost to speak of. Knight is able to collect some and be able to take it over the midfield. Actually gets 250s over, which will set up Wichita perfectly. See a pass over to Aqua, but it won't go through as Wichita will have to try again.
And honestly, Knight's trying everything. I mean, that's another psycho attempt.
Wow.
Tiz will try to slot one. That back post will not find its way easily in. So maybe part two. Tiz dunk on the goal line, or rather, just another deflection. I gotta say, Wichita allowing a lot of pressure on the goal line, but for the most part, they are kind of locking it down with a wall right there on that line.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, the way that they're playing the goal line defense, even if they're down a ton of boost, right? And you see Syracuse, they're locking that boost management down quite well. They're still having enough trust with each other. They're efficient as well with the boost that they have, and it's just not allowing too many shooting lanes to open up for Syracuse. So Lesser actually stays in place, is going to go off the back wall. Boone with a great read, leaves things for Gababy, who's going to chase this one down, but Wichita being able to hold down the line despite being down and in keeping this one close.
Oh, unfortunately, Lesser tried to hit that one forward. I think he might have been trying to find Tiz, but there was no boost, which leaves an opening for Boone, and he'll take full advantage. Flawless contact.
Beautiful work, and finally we see Wichita break out of their shell, play off of the midfield pressure, and immediately come back to tie this game.
Big fan of that from Wichita too, because as I mentioned, Q's kind of throw it downfield, and that's kind of a careless read, and you're thinking, what's the worst that can happen? That, exactly what just happened, could happen. You have someone lurking in the midfield, no one's there marking it, and it goes straight on in. And a solid 1-2 be seen from Boone, the player that we were actually complimenting in the green room and on desk, as being a player that has really stepped up. You can't just have one star player and expect to go through league play. You need everybody to play their absolute best. So now Q's has to therefore step up and find their spotlight player.
Yeah, it's a tried and tested formula within CRL where you have 2-star players and then one player who really starts to develop within CRL and, you know, becomes a player you might not expect. We were talking about that last week as well when we interviewed him, how we saw that from Helix. Now a shot from Tiz, looking for the second touch, is going to put it down, almost gets it through. Gababy puts the rebound on. It will go off the crossbar. Syracuse once again putting Wichita on the back foot. Pass over to Tiz, beautifully done, almost through as well. Wichita needs to go see a cardiologist right now because it's making me act up.
I mean, honestly, there's 4 different moments I've seen where it's clattered off the bar, almost like tantalizingly close to being a perfect top 90 shot, and it just hasn't gone in. This one will also not be going in, as Lesser trying to get too hard for that angle. So instead, let's have Tiz go through the air. How about a back post double?
No way!
Yes, sir!
Taking advantage of the low boost situation, Tiz goes all the way through, makes it look so free and easy. And with 11 seconds left, Syracuse take the lead, put Wichita in a dangerous position now off of this kickoff. Is there anything that Wichita can do? One more challenge coming in from Aqua, Boone, and Knight, both playing the midfield, trying to prepare for an easy counterattack to hold things down, but it will touch the ground. Syracuse take game 1.
And we like to see that from Q's, trying to lock it in, but also do it in style. This is a team that, even though they're mostly, I would say, unproven in terms of general results, they did get that LAN victory, but admittedly not against the necessarily very top of the table for CRL. You can see it in their pre-jumping, in their preparation. This is a squad that has an on-staff coach and also performance psychologist. So Syracuse really has been trying to develop, and you see it in highlights like this where they're really taking care of business and putting on a lot of pressure. That is 13 shots in a game that does not include OT.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, 13 shots. And I think that's more of a testament right now to how Wichita are playing that back line. That goal line defense is actually incredible at the moment. But like you mentioned, Syracuse, they're a D1 program. They will invest everything, and they have invested everything. But not to mention, it's not like, say, you know, the Northwoods or St. Clair's of the world where they're trying, or Maryville's, where they're trying to get the best players. They also want to develop in-house. They want to get a good player and then build a team around them. And I think Syracuse is one of the more honest examples that we've been seeing of that, I'd say, in the past couple of years of CRL.
Yes, and being able to see all these programs develop honestly brings a tear to the eye, because you see back in the day a lot of these programs were club programs, or you just have the occasional like small esports in quote room, but ultimately it was kind of just a PC lab. And now
why are you calling me out, man?
I mean, I'm just saying,
that's what we played on back in the day.
Little place. All I'm saying is that we have come a far way, and now we have 2 Division I NCAA kind of universities rocking some classic esports rivalries, hopefully in the future, because we got 2 big fan bases watching this one. and they're going to be watching it on the prettiest map in the game, Forbidden Temple, for Game 2.
Oh, I didn't know you thought it was the prettiest map in the game. I think it's the prettiest map in the game, too.
Cherry Blossoms automatically moving up a tier, I think, for sure.
Right. You're right.
And then a nice flip reset into an air dribble could make it even better, but apparently we can't start off with quite that easy of a banger.
A little bit of a drama early on is good for the heart, as they might say. Now, Knights will be able to collect. Actually has a lot of room to work with. Lesser's just letting him challenge, but it's not the right angle. Boone's going to put this one on immediately. Kotka baby sleeping. 1-0 for Wichita.
Yeah, I really do like this build-up as well from Knight, being able to keep this close, and even though Lesser does get close, he's not able to actually get that read. Poor Gababy, he is going to have the worst reaction time because he has to be flat-footed, flat-tired, whatever you want to call it. He's not getting to that. I don't think anyone would be, but again, solid contact from Boone. You don't get a lot of chances. You got to make them count.
All right, Lesser. Baby just going to follow this and shadow it just in a good angle to make sure he's in position, but will get bumped out of the way. How quickly Wichita just immediately set up these 2v1s positions, despite the fact that it's such a commitment for them, is kind of a testament to how they're playing this game. Aqua's going to put this one just high, and we'll see Syracuse respond, trying to get around Knight, who's doing such a good job. Will get bumped out of the way, though. This one will be sent down. Aqua will have to manage the defense.
Actually, Lester's going to fake chow that and then actually let that one go. Knight almost cut in and be able to intercept that, but ultimately doesn't really work out the way that he would like to. So therefore, they're going to have to re-examine things. Wichita, I mean, they started pretty slow against Cumberland, obviously having to reverse sweep in their previous on-stream match. And I feel like right now they're actually already waking up. You can see them challenging more decisively. They're getting on these reads. And honestly, you can see Syracuse almost backing up in reaction to it. And they're not entirely sure how they want to go forward. Apparently through demos and some more mechanics, he's trying to have his path cleared, and he might almost sneak it all the way through. That would have been the slowest goal I've ever seen.
That might have, and it would have broken some ankles. But you mentioned Wichita waking up. I mean, it seems as though Lesser wants to say no, but I can smell the coffee cooking in the morning. As Wichita are indeed waking up. And Taco, as you know, I do love my coffee, but that one is also a little bit close for comfort. Lesser just continuously battering away.
And we'll see Boone try again to try to get over Tiz, but Tiz is actually playing the ceiling almost closer than the floor. Immediately on top of that one, and the next clear will also be read by Lesser, so good midfield defense might lead to a shot if not for Boone getting in way in the most crucial of moments. Knight into Aqua back into the midfield, and honestly a lot of midfield play between these two teams right now as possession comes at a premium, so therefore shots are going to be worth its weight in gold.
I think the only thing that I'm finding from Wichita right now is they're not trying to control it once they get a touch in the midfield. They're just sending it downfield and then immediately setting up on the offensive rotation of things, right? You see Knight just sending it down, Boone just punting it down, which is great, and it allows you to be able to collect some boost and keep some of that midfield possession. But I feel like, especially nowadays with what we're seeing, you want to immediately bounce back just like this. Tiz will tie up the game.
Yeah, it's a tough one as well. Deflection from Knight, not as he was looking for, but poor Aqua's caught in no man's land. Lesser knows exactly what to do with that. Take him out of there. Easy as it like for Tiz, even on zero boost. Never gonna miss that one. And you can tell that Syracuse is going to be opportunistic in every sense of the word and in their game plan as well. This is a team that loves to chase down that second and third man to make that defense really start to tremble.
So Knight will take things up through. Good look for a good 50. Lesser is a bit far forward as well. Boone tries to get it around, but Lesser still gets the backflip to be able to get a hand on it. Just under 2 minutes remaining. Knight plays it well, and again, you see the midfield's control coming into play. Lesser, despite no boost, still gets a good hand on it too. Tiz wants to add on to the pressure. Wichita having to use a lot of boost to make this one work, especially with the double commit. The pass is going to come through. Shot nowhere to be found. Tiz going to try to make a play for it going backwards and still can't get it done.
One thing from Wichita, I'm starting to see double commits, and it makes me wonder, what are the comms like right now? Honestly, despite all of that, they're still getting some opportunities. I thought that might have been able to bounce in a dangerous position. In fact, that one also could have. Aqua went for the fake challenge. I think he could have had a hand and maybe get an deflection, but either way, that ball's going over, and it is very much going in.
And I love how Knight played this. He not only was he short in his back rotation, he immediately cut the moment that Boone sent it. He didn't even care if there was a midfielder, which actually could have punished Wichita if there was a good midfielder in place. But it was great awareness from Knight to be able to open that one up and eventually get the open net.
midfield. So as we will be able to spectate the rest of this one, Syracuse is going to be falling behind. But Wichita State, honestly, a little bit of a gift. You had mentioned a lot of long balls, but that can help. Long balls help to keep the defense on their toes. It keeps them honest. If you want to creep up, that's all great. But if we hit it a little too hard and you're back post-rotation, that third man isn't ready, that can really be punished. So now it's time to punch
Knight's
right
in
back.
trouble.
No one challenging, and that is the penalty. Demo yet again.
That just felt like the Simpson meme of like, I'm in danger! And Knight just gets pummeled out of the server. What a great 2v1 play.
And again, Syracuse sees that, and it's almost like they don't even have to calm that. I guarantee you, the guy just silently puts his head down and being able to put those blinders on, take him out. And yet, here's a kickoff with an immediate revenge. Gababy says, it's not going to be that simple. In fact, he might even carry it downfield, had the beat, but doesn't quite play his angle.
Remember, it's still a tie game. Aqua is going to stick with it. There's a 2v1 right now. Tiz so long on the rotate right now. I think Gababy got maybe bumped out of the way. Lesser just gets the weak touch. Gababy has to come in to recover. And now the offensive rotate's coming through. Knight looks to keep it in play, but Gababy will be able to settle things down. Full tank for him as he collects the midfield. Lesser is going to have to match this against Boone. Aqua tries to come in for the cleanup, but with the last 20 seconds, Syracuse on the back foot.
Knight with the wall dashes. Lesser's running for his life, and Gababy needs to help him out, and does. Off that backboard doesn't mean the ball's cleared, though. Boone, he's chased this around like it's a ones match. Plays it to Knight. That's the player you want in the ones match, though. Flip reset into the fake Musty. He doesn't have the flip. Boone's going to try to keep it alive, but at 0 seconds, Syracuse will punt it away and say, I will gladly take some OT if we even get there. Aqua, final touch. We'll make sure it hits the turf.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why we have the flip reset indicator. Now on to overtime, as this one is already through the line. Boone will collect the midfield. Aqua sending it down. Syracuse being given a lot more of a fight, I think, than they were expecting from the Wichita side, who have played it to their strengths. This one is so dangerous. This one just goes in. Tiz just launches this one, and it finds the mark at 17.
And Tiz, honestly, I think just wanted to lob that one on target, but Aqua completely overplays it. I think he thinks someone else is getting it. He can't slow down, and then he feels flips because he realizes he can't catch up. So call it what you like. Syracuse is going to call it match point.
I was shocked. I think, honestly, that was just a case of getting caught sleeping. That was just straight up caught sleeping. A bit of out of position and an unfortunate backflip to be able to stop things. And yep, that just fell apart immediately. That is a very unfortunate way to lose that game.
And you can say a lot of things about being unfortunate, but at the same time, it is also some offensive proficiency coming through. Tiz with 80% of the goals Syracuse has scored in this series, and being able to be involved in quite a lot of their buildup. So that is a player that we have seen both on Twitter and both in Discords talking about how many hours they are putting in. There's a reason they call themselves Passion University. So I think you can see it paying off here. Really a weapon for Syracuse that they're tapping into. And honestly, if a player's hand is hot, I'm just going to keep feeding him.
Yeah, I mean, also a ton of fans as well for Tiz. Every time I flick over and see chat, it's just immediately I just see a wall of Tiz the moment that he scores a goal. So a lot of fans coming out for both these teams, which is great. We love to see both the, like, every single collegiate community be able to show up and support their teams. But 800 points for Tiz is bonkers, and will be able to get the crowds going in this case. Either way, Syracuse, they will be on match point. And with a 2-0 scoreline, do Wichita have anything left to offer? It's game 3.
I don't even think that's rhetorical. I genuinely want to know, because Wichita is a team that engineered some reverse sweeps, but in order to get there, you have to lose the first 2 games. And I will say game 2 looked better, but not nearly enough. You cannot be giving away an OT winning goal like that on just a floater, going down swinging more or less. So Aqua, therefore, is going to have to try to engineer something, but on that first pass, can't find his target. Lesser can find his reset.
Whoa.
That might be even top shelf, if not for Price, watching that the whole way.
Price sending things down. Price, also, for those who are unaware, is Knight. Had to change his name because that's his name that he registered with. So Boone is actually going to be able to punish Lesser, able to get the save on this one. Price, again, just playing that midfield position and really trying to lock things down for a more controlled approach this time. Back pass over to Price, is going to send things back. Aqua is going to recover some boost, and already you see Lesser and Tiz just hovering, swarming around any potential loose ball.
Yeah, and right now this ball is really loose, and playing it fast and loose with these clears. It's trying to lob it, slow things down, but that's how Tiz likes it. Try to take that 50, doesn't quite work out. So Lesser goes inside. How about a pinch play with
Whoa,
Gababy?
no way.
I saw it forming, but Tiz wants to finish it. Back post off the bar again.
Hi, I'd like to interview the fourth player of Wichita. That is Mr. Crossbar. Beautiful work to keep that one out, but Syracuse are going to be wanting that one back. Boone just sends himself. Price, decent amount of boost, going to be able to collect things and try and just keep, like you mentioned before, the defense of Syracuse on their toes.
Now they're trying to do it by playing the ball kind of awkward off the
Whoa,
side
hold
wall,
on.
and that's one way to
Hold
do it.
on.
Hold on, Price trying to get that on target. Lesser,
No way.
he saw the potential, gets the save. Aqua, can he fit it through again? It's off the post. You can't get any closer than that without scoring.
The pain of trying to finish off a cool clip and just get a cleanup and it just fall apart time after time, no matter how close it is. Now Tiz with the control, everyone from Wichita swarming back to try and recover this as they will go back on the offense. A two-man up situation here for Wichita, and it will go all the way back because this one's going to come through off the crossbar again.
I think Gababy actually saved that. I think that it was actually
I
going
think he
over
actually
Boone, and
did.
He was trying to get the redirect or maybe even bump the defender. Either way, Syracuse, their own worst enemy. They're not going to fret too much. No harm, no foul. Still 0-0. But I don't know for how much longer. You can see both teams kind of reeling sometimes on their defense.
Now Wichita gonna have to calm things down a little bit. Gotten a little scary for them, despite the fact that Syracuse as well has taken their fair share of dangerous chances. It seems Syracuse, they're just waiting for that one little piece of overextension for them to bounce back.
Lesser actually not getting the immediate chase, but Boone I don't think believed it, but Aqua certainly will. I love the pass to Price, but he'd probably like it a little bit softer. Can't get ahead of it, so how about Boone? Try number two, the gather. Price far side, making that pass intercepted by Tiz. The ideas are there for Wichita, but it's about execution. You don't really get a credit or a little bit of a trophy in CRL for your good ideas, even though they would like to at least imagine that they can put together something crazy. Lesser trying to show him outdone, but runs out of boost halfway.
Aqua going to be able to take the mid boost. That will provide some sort of reprieve as well for Wichita. The more that they have to deal with this Syracuse front line. Boone even just waiting for the corner. Lesser going to do what they can. Nice pass straight to Tiz. Anyone coming for the cleanup? No, Khabib gets cut off.
They gotta trust in the recovery because that was all three players going forward as Aqua falls
my
on
gosh.
the read. Goes a little wide, nearly the highlight of the season that I've seen. Tragic that doesn't go through, but honestly, not the first time we've seen that from Wichita. They have come close, but no cigar on a couple of their chances as they're just begging to get this one more goal save. Again, fighting to just keep the series alive. Pass down, Aqua thought he might have had it. Price had other plans.
Yeah, I think Price needed to leave that second touch and just let it go down for Aqua. He read the pass wrong. Clear bit of calm disruption here. Gababy gonna try and cut off Price in the midfield, but I really do like how Price is playing this. He's gonna go flip reset, but it will be saved away. Aqua's gonna be able to get the cutoff to continue possession. 40 seconds remaining, still scoreless, but Wichita, they're inching closer.
Ooh, Price almost dusted Tiz over the top. He's trying to stay relevant on it, but here comes Tiz. Looking downfield,
No
top
way.
shelf, Boots is the save. He gets it, but who else but Tiz? Another goal for the tally to take the lead.
The redirect for the added speed only added on. There was nothing Boone could do. The rebound comes through. Syracuse with 28 seconds take the lead.
Oh, Wichita shaking their heads, but they can't for long. They got to lock in, lean forward, and get this goal in the clutch. Boone might be the one to be able to get it, but unfortunately he stopped short. Price has a full boost, and Tiz says absolutely not. There's a demo. Here's an assist,
Open.
1v1, trying to put the game on ice. Here comes the bump, and Price gonna limbo around it.
Price with no boost, able to make this one work. The clock will wind down. There's no boost on the Wichita side. Are they done for? You can see Aqua was able to collect some boost as well. Gonna go up the wall. Boone, this is your last chance. You need to be able to get a pass off. Price is gonna go for a shot up, but he misses. And Syracuse will take the series.
Oh my goodness, Syracuse, they actually played for the 50 on that and anticipating that shot was gonna come in, but then Wichita didn't even touch it. If they had any, who knows that 50 could have been, but I think that's a deep breath for Syracuse. It might have been a sweep, but you could tell they were sweating down to the very last moment in 2 and 3. As you see, Lesser getting, a bit of a reaction to the cam.
He's like, yeah, it was close. It was a little bit closer than I'd like, but either way, I think it's one of those score lines you're gonna look at. You're like, yeah, this was a sweep, but this was so back and forth. It was not clear at any point who was gonna win any game, frankly, because they were so close. 3 one-goal games essentially, and Syracuse, I'm not gonna lie, this doesn't instill a ton of confidence.
But hey, win's a win. That's, I think,
Win
all you
is a
need to
win.
focus on.
It's a start.
I'm a strong believer in that. I 100% agree with you, Seb. I think you can't be looking at a win like this, especially with moments this close to getting scored on and going behind in these games without being a little like, okay, we need to clean that up. But hey, Tiz was a striker, scoring 5 goals across that series, looked phenomenal throughout it. So I think if they can capture that magic, fix up this rotation, maybe take a few less risks down the stretch, then I think they can be a really strong contender. But hey, game differential also huge benefit. Wichita State, still more work to do, but you see the flashes of promise from this squad.
I've been really excited to see just both these teams develop. Wichita, they're a really fun team to watch. I've been enjoying them plenty, and frankly, I think with how much we're going to be seeing these teams, I think especially throughout the course of a 16-team league play, we're only going to see them get better and better. But for now, we are going to take a short break as we load up our next match. We have a ton of great matches to go, so don't go anywhere. This is CRL.
It's alright, I know it slips so easily. Fighters and nervous in your eyes, running around your head. There's 1,000 enemies, then there's a fire lighting up the dark. We're gonna watch them fall, 'cause if you need a little wild card, I'll be the one you call. It's alright, it's only human when the feeling overcomes, like the beating of a drum. I'll be the one you call. It's alright, it's only human when the feeling overrides, going deep into the night. I'll be the one you call.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Collegiate Rocket League. It is week number 3, and it is my boy, Russell from Syracuse. How we doing, Lester?
I'm doing great.
Glad to have you here, man. It's not been a long time since I've seen you. I think it's been like, I don't know, a week since I saw you in Myrtle Beach. Last we saw, all your flights were getting canceled. You guys were having to, you know, figure out the alternate plans. Did you end up driving back? That was like, what, a 12-hour drive? We make it home safe and sound?
I think it was about 13, but, you know, no cars available, so we had to take another 2 flights, you know, another night in DC, but we got back home safe and got a W today, so that's all that matters.
You guys went to DC? I didn't realize you guys went all the way to DC. All right, well, you've been around the nation, to say the least. However, despite the, I'd say, various places that you've competed, this is actually the first win I believe you guys have gotten in a CRL league play format at this point. How's it feel to not only get your first win, but also do it on stream at that?
I mean, getting our first one on stream is extremely meaningful because my parents and everything can watch, family, friends, girlfriend, and just glad our 2 losses weren't streamed. They weren't the prettiest, but you know, we can do better. So looking forward to getting more wins on stream, hopefully.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, you guys have had an interesting start to the season. Obviously, you take Maryville, one of the, I'd say, best teams in all of North America in Collegiate Rocket League, to 5 initially. You guys don't end up getting, you know, a win in the second match, but you finally do get one here. Where are you guys feeling overall in current standings? Because obviously there's been discussion this week that, like, maybe you're a top 10 team. Is that, like, the overall ambition right now? What's the goal for Syracuse overall?
I think when we play how we should, we're a top 10 team. I think our second series didn't go exactly to plan. You know, we just gotten back that day, just lots of travel, hadn't played the past few days. I mean, just unfortunate circumstances. I think we play them again, we win, but nothing you can do about that. So, you know, we're here, we're win. That's all we can do.
Unfortunately, that is the brutal reality of this format. You get one chance against each of these teams. And Wichita has had a lot of chances against a lot of teams. I got to ask you on your read of them, because we've got a lot of different opinions, and I don't know where to place them at this moment.
Honestly, no offense, it was one of the most boring series I think we have played. They not to say that they're bad or anything. I think they can be very good if they use their play style right, but I think they give a lot of space, and I think people are going to be able to expose that.
Hey, you guys exposed them today. That's a 3-0 victory in your favor. Congratulations to you on not only getting the win on stream, but like you said, you know, getting the first one in program history. If you got any shout outs, I'm gonna leave the floor for you here before we end this one.
I mean, shout out our incredible staff, you know, Tiz, Gabe, my family, my girlfriend Jada, you know, everybody watching. I mean, I'm couldn't be thankful for my support and you know, the support system we have here at Syracuse and in my family. So thank you.
I appreciate it. Russell, class act as always, man. I appreciate you thoroughly. Thank you so much for coming on here. Congratulations again on the win.
Have a good night.
Okay, thank you. All right, that was my boy Russell, or Lester, as we call him, from Syracuse. Yeah, again, if you guys didn't know, he's one of those guys like Redos. You know, reverse name is his actual name at this point as well. And honestly, he's got to be feeling good. Like he said, that was basically another day at the office, apparently, for them versus Wichita.
It's pretty much what we expected from this series. I know I went with Wichita for my prediction on it, but we knew the potential of this team. As we were talking to some of the pros, waiting for them to give us their own top 10s leading into this weekend's competition, a lot of them were like, hey, you got to keep an eye on the Syracuse roster, and for good reason. 3-0 sweep, and a lot of teams even struggled. Like we saw last week, Cumberland, a top 10 team, couldn't even get it done against them, and while we saw it from Syracuse, the textbook way to do it. Hopefully some other squads learn how to replicate that success. But looking forward to our next series well, I guess before we get into that next series, talk a little bit more about that. Wichita specifically, Taco, what do they need to improve here so that they can have a little bit of a better record? Because they're still at the bottom of the league play ranking.
Well, one thing that was actually a little bit taken from Lester, it turns out top players do know how to play the game and know how to analyze it to a certain extent. They said they're giving up a lot of space. Wichita is really, I would say, too in their heads about some of those challenges. I see them diving in late for things, and it's because they're having too much buffer time. When you play at the top level, you need to be instinctual, and you need to make sure everyone's on the same page. If one or two of those things are off, then you have moments where one player dives in, the other player is like, oh, I wasn't back for that, and then you give up an easy goal. Or you're going too late because you're thinking, do I have that? I don't know if I should get that. Is that a right angle? You just got to go and react later. That's what all the top teams do, and I feel like Wichita is still trying to figure that out. I don't know if it's a matter of trust or rather a lack of confidence, but you can't be lacking on that. You made the top tier of Collegiate Rocket League for a reason. You got to play like it.
The cool thing about this league play system, because there's so many matches going on, there are other teams actually streaming their series right now. I mean, Saints Gaming CA currently have St. Clair Green playing against Wichita right after they finish this series. And one thing I want to throw to you, Seb, before we move on to our next series is How can a team like Syracuse emulate the success of a squad like St. Clair and try to rise above the competition to make it into that upper echelon of CRL League play?
Well, St. Clair is a difficult example because that is like a very chemistry-based team where the players are able to just play with each other and legitimately mind read each other. I will say it was interesting to see just how they described it as boring even. Because it didn't look boring. I mean, it was very close for it to be that boring. Regardless, I think with how they're playing it, I don't know, the way that I find it, it's more a case of, I think you need to be able to increase your pace a little bit. I saw even the amount of times where Price was able to poke a hole in their rotation and their counterattacks and just be like, nope, you aren't leaving the midfield. You aren't leaving the midfield. And that's one player. And I understand Wichita was leaving a lot of space, especially when Syracuse were in the offensive zone, but it essentially took one player to take the ball away from them, and then the entire momentum shifted. Now, yes, they walked away with that series. Yes, it was a 3-0, but they were almost all one-goal games, and it could have gone the other way at any point.
Yeah, that's the difficulty with these series, but they got the win at the end of the day, and that's what matters most. Tiz carrying them on his back a little bit, having at least a goal per game and a hat trick in the second one as well. But let's move on into our next series here. It's Maryville, the #1 team in Collegiate Rocket League in the current standings, facing off against Davenport, currently with a clean slate, 7-7, ranked 7th. Going into this matchup itself, here's the head-to-head. RGO Relating Wave and Speed with Shuffleverse as the coach. You might recognize some of those names there. And then Davenport, we have Shane as their coach. Cam, Brock, and Bolte. If you've been paying attention to Collegiate Rocket League, you've seen those names for such a long time. And you've seen Cam actually face off against Maryville in different iterations for such a long time. But what really makes Taco, this Davenport roster, stand out here?
I think, honestly, just because they play like they're all psychotic, and I mean that in the best possible way. They reach up each other.
Wow.
They will constantly be going for clips. But the thing is, they're all good enough to actually get away with that. That's the key. A lot of players would play like this, and you're thinking, what in the C3 is this? But no, these are players that can pull that off. The issue has always been, because they're so crazy with all these reads and all these clips they go for, they can get burned a lot on counters. They give away a lot of easy goals. But I feel like in the past semester, and now leading into this, where they're in the top 16, they're in league play, I think we've seen a maturation of their play style where they're settling down a bit more. And we see that actually in them beating Indiana Tech earlier in the week, a team that we really thought would be challenging a bit higher after they've gotten some impressive wins. So we do like to see it from Cam. I don't like to see that minion in the background.
I'm terrified, bro.
Not a fan of that,
scared.
but other than that minion, I am a fan of what I've seen from Davenport this semester.
Maybe trying to terrify the competition whenever they look at the stream. That could be the strategy here from Cam specifically. You see, the method, showing the Rocket League through the glasses. But now, let's talk a little bit about Maryville. I mean, Bass, we had our own opinions about them during Champ League this past weekend. But we had Speed on the show, and he said they are still the best team in Collegiate Rocket League. Would you say that they are currently, and will this series kind of cement that for them?
I mean, I argue this on the show as well. I think they're somewhere within the top 4. I don't know if they're necessarily definitively the #1. I still kind of look at St. Clair just for the fact that we have a rule, everybody gets one loss. And, if you look at the one loss that everybody has taken, St. Clair's one loss is Game 5 to Northwood. So I don't really fault them for that. In comparison, though, Maryville's one loss, like you said, is to Indiana Tech. The difference, though, is since they've lost to Indiana Tech, Maryville have not dropped a game. They have gone 9-0 since that moment. So, look, if they even drop a singular game here, it would technically be a surprise considering their current form.
Well, with that, let's get into predictions on who is going to win this matchup. Davenport or Maryville? Who do you got here, Seb?
I am going with Maryville because I don't want to look at that minion anymore.
Wow.
That is, that's going to be in my dreams.
That's valid. That's valid. What about you, Bass?
I'm taking Maryville on this one as well. I think I kind of, already had my spiel at this point. This is a team that has already looked good throughout, multiple iterations. They look good since their loss. Everybody gets one, and since their one loss, they have looked dang near unstoppable. If Maryville does end up losing this, it will not only be shocking, it will be impressive that they drop any games at all. I could easily see this being a 3-0.
Okay. We got a 3-0 prediction. Are you feeling the same way here, Taco?
I am. Maryville is #1 in the leaderboards. For a lot of players, they are the #1 team in the nation, and they have to start showing it. And they have been progressively. I did call them out a little bit and they're saying, yeah, you got some 3-0s, but they're not really at the top of the table teams. So if they could continue with another 3-0 or at least just a solid win, a decisive win against Davenport, then I think that'll inspire some more confidence, showing, yes, they are taking it seriously. They're fully locked in, and Davenport will have to be exactly locked in to their max to be able to compete in this one.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. Davenport have a lot to prove. We've seen some middling results from them before up to this point. I mean, seeing exactly how we saw them go through it. 2-2, 7-7, a clean record for now, but that's not going to be enough to stay in at the top of the competition. Trying to fight for one of those 4 placements into the spring championship. Again, the bottom of them still have that last chance qualifier, so it's not the worst thing, but you want the best seed possible. And yes, thank you. Maryville, I was going to say, is going to be mine here as well. So, I mean, it's no doubt they are the #1 team for a reason. They're tied with St. Clair technically for the #1 spot, both with a +9 record, but St. Clair did just get a win as well, and they're looking like they're going to get another 3-0 here against Wichita. So to keep up with St. Clair, fighting back and forth for whoever's going to be that #1 spot, they need a 3-0 to keep that record going, and I'm pretty confident that they will get it as well. But we will have to see if that is going to be the case, if Maryville will be the ones to dominate another series, or if Davenport, the middle of the pack, is going to rise to the challenge and change their fate, move towards the top of the leaderboards, the standings for league play in the spring semester. We have seen Maryville on top of the world, and Davenport, well, they're working to keep their heads above water. It's sink or swim for both these squads. Let's get into it.
Dave versus Goliath at this point. The only problem is they don't have a slingshot. They've got Cam. Is that going to be enough? It's time to find out. Maryville, like we said, the very top of CRL. Davenport, not that. Taco, we got either a very long or a very short series ahead of us. Let's find out.
They have an Arju. Well, we have a minion, but besides that, yeah, we actually do have a pretty interesting matchup here, mainly just because I think, yes, we are all overwhelmingly supportive of Maryville. We think we can take care of business, but Davenport is also known as a really sneaky mechanical team. These are 2 players in Brock and Cam that have played at rank X in the 6-man system. They can definitely punch above their weight, and honestly, we've seen a couple events where Balti's made us shy, but no, it's those 2 former players we just mentioned combining for the first goal 8 seconds in.
Okay, Maryville, I was really hoping you would back my statement up with an impressive first game. Instead, you give up a goal 8 seconds in, and Davenport prove they are here to play. No, definitely not how I expected the series to start. Also, simultaneously, yeah, all right, man, that's the most CRL thing I've ever seen.
Yes, very CRL thing, but hey, kickoff goals are very much goal-scoring opportunities. They are set pieces, as Speed unfortunately going for that 50. He's not going to make contact, but Maryville doesn't take a lot of offenses sitting, lying down. They're going to make sure they are getting right back into it. And, you know, Speed just recently playing with the Immigrants on the RLCS stage, trying to show off that clutch in these big moments. As Maryville, not really a team we've been able to witness too much on stream, but always a treat to see them try to hit some clips.
I would love to see Maryville start stunting a little bit, but I think that from the conversations we have had with Speed recently, it's not about stunting for them anymore. It's about trying to prove that they can have this consistent level of play, and if they start to get to a level high enough, they'll start taking some more relentless shots, some more reckless decisions mid-air. But they haven't really had the authority to do exactly that. Like we said, despite the fact that they have been 9-0 in games since their initial loss on the season, there's still a lot of proving to be done. This is against a St. Clair that, while not with Arju anymore, he is now on Maryville, still do look to be one of the best teams in all of North America. So Maryville got to kind of prove that not only can they hang with the best of them, that they can even beat one of the middle of the pack teams. They're still down 1-0, and there's over a minute gone here in game 1.
Yeah, you can see him starting to ramp up pressure, but right now Davenport dealing with it well, and even testing Arju to see his reactions on that one. He's going to lean over backward and get that initial save. Brock with a dunk, Balti wide open, and it was 1, now 2.
Okay, Maryville. Again, supposed to be answering questions, not developing more. This is not the greatest play from Arju in the corner, but the confusing part is nobody's there to back him up. He doesn't have any boost. He's inevitably going to get challenged. Where's the second man to make sure that if it does happen to ricochet out about center, somebody's there to save it? Not quite. 2 goals to the good now are Davenport, and oh boy, this is a day full of question marks. That should not be one. That should have been a goal.
And right there, that's a good little interception from Davenport, making that shot a little bit more awkward, taking away that angle, and hopefully contributing to that save. Otherwise, that is a pretty brutal miss. Speed not trying to put this one off target. Brock is required for the save, and Arju trying to take a catch, and Brock says no. Again, speed is Davenport's greatest asset, but the thing is they still need positioning. They're in time for that one, as well as the follow. Brock right down the middle, and Balti with the extension.
Speed is the greatest asset for both of these teams, to be quite frank. It's been a long time that Speed has been within the professional Rocket League scene, and he has been one of those guys that I think has been vocal about how potentially Maryville could be the best team that CRL has ever had to offer. But like we said, they just haven't really lived up to the expectations yet. We've been talking about this roster for a long time. The rumor of Arju going from St. Clair to Maryville had been a buzz for a very hot moment. So now that it's arrived, we want to see them kind of prove that this is going to be that legacy-defining team. They haven't really done it so far this season, and they definitely haven't done it on stream. Their 2 appearances on stream have been shambolic, to say the least, and so far, game 1, the exact same thing.
Cam, no double, but that's why Brock is there. Back post, great shot. That's a double commit wide open, and Brock wants to get to it, but no speed. Will be able to recover. Bolty, dusted. Cam also over his head, and that's why you rotate deep. Brock knew it was coming, and he will take the temporary 50. Bolty, oh my goodness, had to wipe away some sweat after that one.
Not really sure how that's not a goal, but to be fair, that's a lot of this game so far. Maryville, a lot of good development, but the final shot just not of quality or not on target. Another chance here as this one's popped out center, and relating wave, he's not even going to jump. Speed behind him eventually will, but it'll require his entire tank, so Maryville, a whole lot of prep, not a lot of payoff, and not on this either until Arju gets the fake out. Incredible redirect, and it's a redirect even midair.
And Cam, Consummate 2's player, understands, let's try to fake this out. But no, Arju gets the redirect, and it goes right over his head. Cam can do nothing about that one, and it's hits like that that are going to make Arju so valuable. He can hit stuff that you can't even dream. Also, one of the few players that I've seen go for a reset, and I don't think he's ever missed the reset to get it flawlessly. It is why he was up there in player rankings as one of the best in the league. But again, got to show it, especially in the clutch 90 seconds here in game 1. Maryville still trying to stage that comeback.
Arju, though, full tank off the ceiling and a lead blocker that'll at least make this awkward for Bolty. Not awkward enough. He still gets a 50 off a relating wave, and now Cam trying to see if maybe he can get something started midair. I don't think that's the touch he was intending on, but it still requires a challenge from Maryville, so they won't be able to turn this into an offense. Not quite yet. Arju instead, though, will keep this one close on the sidewall. Hey. And get a good dunk where Speed now can maybe follow it up off of the sidewall himself. Not quite. Again, a lot of good developing plays here from Maryville, but with only a minute left, they need to start taking shots.
And right now, Davenport needs their boost. Unfortunately, it's not going to spawn for Bolty. He'll have enough to get that first save, but he needs something on the follow. Wave is there. He's going to leave it, or maybe just get called off. Speed on temporary recovery. Just going to have to chuck that one high and hope for some help, and there will be none. Despite a double commit, Cam is still there, causing chaos. Another roller straight down for Bolty and Brock to try to latch onto. And right now, Maryville, they're chasing down this read, but every single time they're trying to chase, it's seconds off the clock. It's interference on the goalie. That one whizzes past, but hits the post.
Brock, though, still time to extend this play. And with 2 committing off the backboard, that's awkward for Maryville. Can they escape? Apparently, yes. Arju looking for another skim, and same with the relating wave, but he actually fakes it out to pull 2 players into the corner. Is that enough for a shot? Not quite, or at least not initially. And the 50 doesn't go there either. Pass out to Speed. His shot, again on target, requires all 3 players to flop, and they still make the save. Davenport hanging on for dear life here. They just need to survive another 5 seconds, and Brock's trying by taking it to the corner. Speed puts it back out center, and that long ball downfield will force a restart. Arju can keep this one up. Bolty doesn't have boost to challenge here, and Arju knows that. He'll throw it out center, and it's still not enough. Davenport, game 1, and what I would say is already an upset to even get a game off of them.
Oh, and I was saying, man, I hope someone's off the ceiling, and it's Cam. Of course, he's off the ceiling already. Honestly, he'd be off the ceiling regardless if that ball's on the ground or not. But we do have Davenport taking game 1, and this is what I'm talking about. They are an incredibly infuriating team to play against because they are a little physical, but the thing is, they are fearless. They will go for any read. They will pre-jump you all day, and more importantly, they'll get in your face. And if you lose those dunks, it plays out a lot like this. You look at the replay, first 2, not to Maryville. It is Davenport taking advantage of these weak spots in the rotation.
And that's the biggest thing here is it's not as if Maryville are like just kind of making mistakes and then giving this up. There are moments that we can kind of clearly see this is not the version of Maryville we anticipate. Again, this is a team of incredibly high caliber players, an incredibly high caliber coach. They should be able to make these adjustments. And now we've been saying that exact statement for what, 3 weeks since we've seen the first appearance of this team? So Maryville, come on now. We just talked to you, Speed. You just said that you had everything cleaned up. It's the first game you've given up in 9 games in 3 series. So the good thing is it's all smiles over there. They don't really care. They're not having this one affect them, and good. That they shouldn't at this point.
Yeah, they're just trying to figure things out, and I think they understand when they play through these matches that they're not just playing against scrubs. Yes, they think that they are the best team. They think they have that potential. Speed ranking himself and his crew at #1 in CRL, but there's good reason for that. The talent on paper is great, but as we all know, series are not won on paper. You're playing against rank X, rank A players. You have to show up no matter the pedigree of your opponents. Forbidden Temple, let's see if Maryville has learned their lesson.
Lightning Wave off the kickoff. Should be able to get this started for Maryville, or not. A little bit of miscommunication. Technically actually goes in favor of Davenport as they can get it downfield, but 50 to Bolte, but straight out to Arju. Flick it over one. Brock won't even make the challenge, and that'll actually give some extra space to Arju. He probably wasn't expecting. Speed will quickly take that space and line up a follow-up shot for a Relating Wave that goes off target. Awkward start here for both of the teams, but it seems like Maryville might be the better of the two off kickoff.
And yes, step off kickoff is nice because it can give you a little bit of momentum, but if you're able to string that into possession, that's something that's so frustrating and debilitating for a defense. Get clear, send right back, get another clear, send right back, get a little boost, you have to immediately use it up, and I hope someone's using it because Speed is uncontested for right now. Cam playing the long game, does get that initial save, but as I said, sent right back by Relating Wave. Temporary clear again, and Archu's gonna control.
Oh, and a good pinch gets around at least one, technically around 2, but it's a bit high for Speed, so I think he's going to try to pop it to a teammate. Perfect pass to Relating Wave, a great save, but there's still more fire, and Arju will finish off the job.
And it looked like they almost got away with it. Problem is that clear doesn't go to the left or right, it goes right down the middle. Poor Bolte has to stare and watch Arju rocket that one right over his head. Watch Cam get slapped to the side. It's a lot of tragedies happening all at once, but it's also a lot of pressure finally paying off. That was 5 shots just in that first minute, or 4 shots from Maryville that finally pay off on a goal.
And again, that's kind of a squandered opportunity from Davenport as well. They had the ball in possession off a kickoff, and then it's immediately Maryville that see the miscommunication out at midfield and seize the moment. And that's more we have to see from Maryville, a team that are so precise in most of their rotations, they should be punishing on every little mistake that we see from their opponents. So, course correction here so far in Game 2, but it's only 1 goal, and Davenport not finding a response. This one off the sideball, though, will find its way out to Arju, who does have the reset, fakes it out, gets the pinch out, and I don't blame Relating Wave. I don't think he was anticipating that much power.
Yeah, it just killed down in front of me, or I can hit it to the corner. And he says, no, that is not the plan. So I guess that we have to go back to the drawing board, or maybe just institute plan #2, as Relating Wave tried to screw up Brock, but Brock actually handles that supremely well. Now sending Maryville into a little bit of a backpedal. Cam just trying to cause chaos. Relating Wave dodges both, but Brock with the 50. Hard read for Arju off the ceiling. Bolte thinks about it, creeps up, but doesn't go. Here comes the counter. That's why you can't get lost in the sauce.
Not only do they get lost in the sauce, but they start slurping it up, man. All 3 of them out at the final third, and this play was very well choreographed. You could see Relating Wave going for boost. You could see the rotations at midfield. The fact they didn't see that this was an easy opening for a counterattack is kind of mind-blowing, considering Davenport's defense in Game 1 was relatively stellar. Game 2, it's non-existent.
And now they're trying to engineer something. Bolte doesn't have the reset, but he will at least be able to get that one mid. Cam stands still. Speed, the only one to be able to react to that one, and Davenport gonna have to backpedal again. You can see just the change between that game #1 and 2 right now. It seems like Maryville is playing a bit more recessed, but honestly, I think they're just playing space better. They're letting Davenport hit the ball away and then reacting to it later, but thing is you can't always do that with Cam, as that double commit leads to a shot that somehow doesn't even get on target. Bolte on the putback. Speed has to touch that one, goes into his goal, and the ball does not.
Normally, I'm not looking at Speed as one of the star defenders for this Maryville team, but so far, that's been his role in this game. He has had a really good job just getting back at the right moments and making sure to play that interference play that takes away a lot of these opportunities. And we've seen, even when there are opportunities, Davenport is still not quite sure how to handle the pressure and the speed at which they have to play. That double off the backboard from Cam wasn't a poor idea, but the fact that Bolte books it in afterwards and can't even really get a shot goes to show Maryville much more comfortable on the pitch right now. With 2 minutes to go, I want to see something more coordinated from Davenport. It's not a bad idea, but gentlemen, what was the plan post the 2 passes?
You have to have a plan for really a multitude of outcomes. Honestly, how many times have we seen the first shot get saved, second shot get saved, third shot get saved? You'd say, okay, well, as long as you're rotating, keeping boost, anything is possible. Kind of like this one. It's not Rocket League, it's pinball.
Come on, man. That can't be real. No part of this plan was drawn up at all. I think Brock got bumped into that. We're going to call it a team pinch to be generous. I'm just going to call it 2-1 with 100 to go.
Sometimes if you triple commit and just drag all your players in, something beautiful happens like that. And other times you get kick off like that. Oh my goodness, there was commotion in the middle. And luckily the wind is not going to go out of the sails of Davenport, but they might get to play it sometime soon if they don't get on top of this one. Wave puts it high. I don't think they realize how little boost he has, but that's when Arju comes through. Cam, good reaction, and only for so long. Immediately demoed and has to respawn.
Good pass down. Maybe it'll be received. Not quite. Interference play again from Davenport, and that's more the defense we are anticipating. Still not quite enough, though, for them to get some sort of offense together, as a back pass to Cam is only going to turn into a pinch that's immediately dunked out by Speed. And he's got the read for the shot after. I'm not sure how Bolte anticipated that, but they won't anticipate the follow-up. Another good fake out of the corner. Arju, clear as day, snipes it. It's 3-1.
Honestly, Bolte's worst sin there is making the save, but putting too much on it. He needs to be able to be a little slower to that, hit that one a bit more to the direct corner, because otherwise it goes right out to a player, they ricochet in the middle, and that's what Arju is waiting for. Good comms by Maryville, but again, sloppy from Davenport, and that's just sheer panic. They're behind the rotation, so trying to get back into it. Minute, still a decent amount of time to work with.
Oh, that's a great 50, though, from Speed. It's going to set up Arju for a triple touch. That doesn't quite go on target, but again, you can see low on boost. Bolte doesn't have much of an escape. Two players dive, and both Brock and Cam still with low boost, which means Arju can line up the double. It's a little high, but we said one of the two teams was more comfortable. You're starting to see the effects of that. Low boost for everybody on defense. Double commits out the wazoo. Shayner's got to reel this team in. This is a much worse game out of Davenport.
Or just a better one from Maryville, and maybe a goal, if not for Cam slowing it down. I think he might have been playing for a 50 just in case, but honestly, based on how the defense was set up, I thought this was going to get saved, but instead, we have a lifeline.
Oh, that's a bit of a bump as well, I believe, on Relating Wave and Arju. Arju's trying to get to the ball, makes a dive. He bumps Relating Wave off the backboard. Relating Wave then gets stuck facing away from the net rather than going towards it, forces the challenge out of Speed. It's a little bit of everything going wrong all at once, and if this game gets away from them, it truly would be everything wrong all at once. 2 goals back-to-back. What looked like a surefire win is now a tie.
Again, Davenport is fearless. Brock is 0 boost with 1 pad in the tank by the end of that, or the beginning of that. Goes up for it, gets the read, and then the immediate follow. That's what it's all about. Anything is scoreable if you can beat the defense to that first rebound.
We said it was going to need to be Maryville punishing on the mistakes of Davenport. It is now Davenport in back-to-back plays punishing on the mistakes of Maryville. Maryville need to be careful. Their offense has looked electric. It's had fantastic rotations around one another, but the defense does not seem to be the same way, whether it's the bump off the backboard, not clearing these plays quickly enough, or just allowing space for Davenport to develop something in the final third. They need to be careful. One last attempt here. Bolte, a pop-up. Brock and Cam do not have the boost. This instead should be a chance for Maryville, but touch to the sidewall doesn't actually make it to Relating Wave. Instead, makes it to more of the Davenport players. Arju, half a tank or a little bit more. He'll look for the reset. He will find it, and this will find ground. We've got overtime, game 2.
Davenport has a chance to do something pretty crazy right now, setting up a match point against the #1 team, and yet, off the kickoff at Speed, nearly stealing that one away. And right now, Davenport needs to keep going with their pace, keep with this confidence, and make sure Maryville is pressured, making sure they're throwing the ball away, and also making sure that they are not getting bumped by themselves. Arju looking downfield will guarantee that one gets through.
They have been the 1-2 punch combo for this team the entire day, and it delivers yet again. Perfectly timed bump from Arju. He won't get the assist, but I'll throw one on my stat sheet for him regardless. Impressive play all around there for Maryville. Mostly impressive because they don't tilt out. 2 goals back-to-back. A lot of teams would have their mental chalked at that point.
It's a tough one. I mean, Davenport also has to look at the silver lining here. They have the offense. That's another spectacular comeback attempt, or at least getting offense on there. Yes, they are getting pressured. You can see the saves start to add up on their score totals, but you also do see that they're keeping it close. And at the end of the day, when we're looking at records for game differential, for series differential, we don't really care about the stats. We are caring about how close you are, and the fact that Maryville really having to work with it shows really just the respect that we have to give Davenport, or any team in CRL these days.
I want to give some extra respect here to Brock as well. It's actually funny, every time we've talked about this Davenport team with Speed, he brings up Brock in particular, and it's for a reason. He's a very talented player. He's actually the only player on his team to have 100% goal participation so far. He's got 5 assists on the 5 goals that have been scored now by Davenport. So, impressive play so far from Davenport, but again, I don't know if we've seen the best version of Maryville so far in this series. I think for about like half of that game, we saw the best version of Maryville, and then the back half of that game, not so much.
I mean, I know we're nervous a little bit for our predictions. I mean, surely a team that gets all 4 analysts to vote for them can't lose on stream. That would be ridiculous. Sounds like a fairy tale. But regardless, I do know some people in chat probably have a decent amount of channel points as well riding on the team in blue. So being able to tie up the series, that's big. An effective best of 3, though, what we all like to see in a bracket, come down to who's going to be able to actually lock on in on DFH.
Let's see, Maryville, like we said, we'd like to see you play that type of performance through a full 5 minutes. Consistency is key. Giving up goals off kickoff, that's not going to help.
But we have a goal in 8 seconds in game 1, and what do you know, 5 seconds in game number 3. Really nice to see from Brock. And honestly, the only place he really could have put that, the recovery was clean, but just not fast enough to be able to save that away from Maryville. And shows you always have to be alert off these kickoffs because anything is possible. That one is a gargantuan pinch that RG is just going to barely be able to hit back to mid.
You can see it in the cams. That was a bit of a tilter for everyone on Maryville. And to be fair, this is actually something that the Maryville squad have stated is kind of tilting, is that, like, as I think Speed likes to call it, the, let's say, the dumber plays that are pulled out, where it's like you just do something off a kickoff that is just too well drawn up. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a guaranteed goal, but it's just so hard to handle that you don't know where to react. And that's got to be even more frustrating because it's back-to-back now with 2 of those plays.
And not even that, just watch this. Hey, Relating Wave, can you get that save? Yeah, until your own teammate comes on through and makes sure that is not going to go on through. It might have been going in on its own, but it did kind of look like Speed helped that one along. Regardless, good shot by Cam. Not a lot of power, but he knows as long as it's on target, it's going to make the defense sweat.
Officially, the streak is broken. That's the first goal that has been scored from Davenport, where Brock is not involved, but I don't think he's going to be too perturbed. Again, that's another early lead now here for Davenport. I'm not going to say that they've had difficulty holding on to them, but again, they need to be careful, they need to be careful and not make mistakes. The big issue we have seen is that although Maryville have not punished every mistake, they do have some glaring ones on defense. A double commit here, a weird commitment there. Things that they just don't need to be doing, that's expending extra boost and giving space for Maryville to develop plays. They haven't done so through the first minute here, but this ball has lived on the orange half for quite a while.
Relating Wave near post. I love that one. Speed is going to really want to feast on it, but he can't get past Bolty, who actually played that positionally very well. He didn't lurch out. He didn't dive and guess. He just waited for that shot, knowing there was enough power, and is able to tuck to the side. Really well done from a player who doesn't really often get his flowers on this Davenport squad.
Speed, 50-50, will take itself out to the sidewall and then off the ceiling. Relating Wave would have dove, but he doesn't have enough boost. His 2 teammates, though, full tanks on the back half, just means they have to reset their offense yet again. With Bolty challenging immediately, it's a little bit easier said than done. Arju, the next 2 attempted, another 50 that's met with a quick challenge, and Speed has to try to maneuver around Bolty. He finally gets a clean beat against the Davenport player, and will try a shot for it. It ricochets off a couple of the Davenport players, but Arju out of midfield can't really contain this one. He'll leave it to Speed instead, and Maryville trying to develop plays, but the aggression of Davenport becoming a problem.
Yeah, they got to be careful. Cam went for a demo downfield and missed, so those occasional plays might leave them in the lurches for defense, but other times you play like it's 2s, beat past 1. What a flick by Cam! Crossbar, the only reason that stays out.
Arju able to at least get this one to the ceiling from an assist from Brock. Relating Wave can't get it to any of his teammates, though, and Bolty's interference once again stifles the play for Maryville. Brock, long ball downfield. I don't think anybody's there, and Maryville doesn't either, so they'll just kind of let this one float while they gather some boost. Arju will at least get a touch, and Cam will get whatever that is off the sidewall. I don't think it's really going to go to the advantage of either team. Maybe Relating Wave can make something of it as he pops it out to midfield, but not quite. Right back into the hands of Davenport, and this ball, heavy touch after heavy touch, continues to favor Davenport as they are just wasting time off the clock.
Yeah, but look at these 1v1s. Cam's trying to play for that 50, and Arju, I think, sense the danger. He goes for the bump. He's going to get bumped. Bolty can't get it past. Cam on the back post doesn't have the power. The back pass for possession, I do like the play, but man, my goodness, Maryville knows they just got away with giving up number 3.
The back pass wasn't a terrible idea, but it has allowed some time now for Maryville to get some boost and get a little bit more prepared on defense. At least 2 players with half a tank, and that allows Arju to make this challenge out at midfield and Speed to follow it up. Even gets a fake out from Bolty, who now low on boost, gets a lucky corner spawn. That's got to be huge for them, but can they survive the onslaught? Nope! Arju finally opens the dam here for Maryville.
It's a game of pixels, too, because as he goes up for this one, you can tell Brock almost gets a little bit of a ghost touch on this as Arju gets that shot off just below the defender. But again, well worked, a little bit of commotion in the corner. You just got to rush them, force them to take a good 50. They don't, and therefore you're going to set up Arju, and I don't think he's ever going to miss from there.
That's the only problem with playing this aggressive if you are Davenport, is breakaway plays you'll be a little bit more vulnerable to. I was going to say, you might be vulnerable to a counter here, but Arju, not a lot of boost. He's still going to make it work. He'll get a touch to the backboard, and Relating Wave. The intercept would have been a pass out to Cam and give Speed a shot on target. Brock turns that one away, but it goes right back to Speed and off the ceiling. Relating Wave can't sneak it in. Where's the third? Not there in time. And Maryville getting more and more development of this offense, but still can't convert.
Balti, excellent aerial to shut that one down. Unfortunately, it's going to wind up into the path of Relating Wave, who will actually turn right back. Pass over to Arju, no one there. He actually went back to the midfield, but possession's still going.
Ooh.
You can see Davenport trying to hold on to this boost, get those extensions, and they do. Cam off corner. Does he get to leave it to Balti? Or maybe just a Brock on the other side. Arju says, nope, I'm going to have to lurch on in and make sure that doesn't go any further. Under a minute to go. Maryville backpedaling at times, so they need to go forward.
They have got to be thankful for Speed right now. It feels like he's just kind of holding himself back. Arju and Relating Wave can do whatever they want mid-air, but if there is a mistake, he is prepared for it on defense. It has allowed them to keep this 2-1 scoreline with just underneath a minute to go. Long ball downfield. Relating Wave has to stretch for it and might need to stretch again. Awkward play off the backboard. Luckily, it doesn't get punished.
When he got that first touch, I was thinking, I don't know if he lands in time, and he almost didn't, but no mistake, no harm, no foul. He's still able to play for it. So Arju, therefore, will try to extend it with another 50. Speed trying to get there, live up to that username, can't do it. Cam is getting wall dashes. He still boosts the far corner. He doesn't care, but maybe he needs to. Lurking downfield again is Speed, and he's denied as well.
But Arju and Relating Wave just bumped into each other, which means there's not an immediate follow-up. They got to restart yet again. They have low boost, not enough resources, and a breakaway play that'll waste time. Cam to spike this one down, and it will be successful. Davenport on to series point.
This is what I'm saying when we look at Maryville. They're not infallible. They're getting sweeps. That's looking good, but anything can happen in any CRL game, especially, as we know, kind of the night terrors that settle in when you play on stream against all of these different teams. Davenport is a wild card, and that's why I love them. They're always so hard to counter. They're so reckless with what they challenge, but if you're not up to task, even the #1 power ranked team will falter.
This is getting scary, Maryville. Every time we ask for you guys to finally give us some definitive proof, not this if, what's, and could be's, it's this. It's you guys showing that, yeah, you can still hang with good teams, you can hang with middle back teams, but you can't beat them confidently. No matter if this ends up being a win for Maryville, which is a very long road ahead of them to even get there, this is kind of the concerns we have had, which is that when the team isn't locked in, they're very susceptible to not only making mistakes, but their mistakes then becoming punished.
And the one thing is that we've heard it from, and I have to say, just to be blunt, we've heard it in the ego kind of talk of Maryville when they talk about these losses to other squads and outside competitions and CRL. They're just saying, it's a play style. It's just kind of stupid that we're losing to this stuff. And, we're better than this. And it's really not out of sheer ego in the fact that it's not ridiculous idea to say that Maryville is a better team. But as I said, yes, you can have a lot of talent. You can have a lot of accolades. I mean, look at the Wikipedias for these 3 players on Maryville. Yeah. It is really long and full of first and second, third, and fourths across regions, but this is CRL. It is chaotic for a reason, and any team can come up with a play style that you're really not sure about. And right now, Shaner has got these Davenport boys cooking. Neo Tokyo might be the end of it, but not in the way that we might have been expecting.
Let's see, Shuffle versus Shane. Who's going to come out on top of the Battle of the S's? Right now, it's apparently Speed. Good touch off the backboard and can beat at least one. He can beat actually a couple. That's an open lane as long as they can bump the final player, but Arju can't quite. Relating Wave needs to finish it off, and he can. Cam gets back in time, and Maryville again leave an opportunity at the table.
Balti, 5-star play right there. Excellent recovery, dodges a demo, and holds it up just long enough that Cam can get back. That is what defending is all about. It's not always making the miraculous save, it's just buying time for your support.
That is just, if this ends up being a series loss, it's a play you're going to have to look back to and go, Maryville, what on earth happened? They've got plenty of time. They do not concede a goal early in this game. It's been a while since we've been able to say that. They even get a pinch there. Speed, recognizing the opportunity, fires one on target. Cam, that's a very heavy touch, so Arju will go up early, and we'll get at the interception. A minute now passed here. Neither team been able to score, but both teams have had their opportunities.
Cam trying to post up, make sure Speed doesn't get out, but he will leave an angle as that bounce has to probably be jumped for if you're Balti. He's going to go a little late and yet still get around. Cam, a lot of boost. You got to get up to it. Arju knows it, but it's going to go past him. Brock on the pre-jump. I told you to watch out for those. They don't connect that time, but it might just be a matter of time.
And you just need to stay aggressive. Again, you do not want to take your foot off the pedal if you are Davenport. It's worked so far, and it will work here. What on earth happened? Maryville give up a freebie.
Well, put down my mic and be able to pick up some water, take a sip, nearly spit it right out when I saw just how wide open that was for Balti. The psychologically most hard shot to make in the game, just ask Diaz. But when you do have this play go through, then it's another lead for Davenport, and now you're starting a timer, 3.5 minutes. Is that enough for you, Maryville? Can you mount a comeback?
You better punish here. That's 2 players committed in speed. Yeah, a perfect 50. All right, Maryville, you can punish on mistakes, and you can win a 1v1.
Well, unfortunately, you will see Speed take this one cleanly and understand, yeah, I can flick that, but Balti, you're dropping from the ceiling. I'm going to go low. There's 0 chance that you get this one away again, surely. And yes, Speed will be able to clutch up. And that's a moment that we talked about in the previous series as well with Syracuse and Wichita State. You have to take the opportunities presented. I think Speed took a deep breath there and understood what he had to do. Same with Arju, going low, but Cam will not be fooled.
Yeah, look at the speed, though, that Cam goes to the challenge immediately afterwards. It's been one of the biggest problems for Maryville throughout this, is they're trying to develop plays and take time. You can't do that. You've got a team that has been hyper-aggressive, continues to play hyper-aggressive, and has made that basically their bread and butter. Okay, misses off the backboard also becoming a little too apparent, and maybe the counterattack works out for Maryville. Not quite, as Balti will be able to take this one off the backboard and at least have to get an interception out of midfield, or just stop Cam. Not quite. The follow-up to Brock isn't a shot, but Maryville real lackadaisical on defense.
Yeah, Brock honestly should have probably put that one on target. I think he was trying to put it too cleanly to the side netting, and then therefore he was susceptible to potentially overhitting it. Same with this in the deflection. Wave has to turn, but immediately gets 50. Dangerous roll for Brock as that's in the middle. I don't think Speed has the best read, but Cam at least can be able to follow off the wall, slap to the ceiling. Look at that recovery, shot on target. Wave just backpedaling enough.
The good thing is, though, Maryville looks pretty prepared for that defense. They had all 3 players boosted up, and they've even got speed and hunting downfield. Awkward commotion in the corner might actually work out for Davenport, as Brock can at least pop this one out. But 2 players bump, meaning relating wave just needs to beat a low boost Cam, and he cannot. Still, though, danger not cleared yet. More challenges here for Maryville in the corner. Brock will finally send it to the ceiling and then kind of send it to no one. And with 2 players committing for Davenport, this is awkward for Balti as the last man back. He doesn't have any boost. He'll pop it to Brock instead, and Cam still doesn't have any boost, so he just fires a shot. That's easily contained by Maryville, so much so they don't even challenge.
No, they don't need to. They just need to stay back and play for waiting that moment out as Maryville starting to stretch a little bit wider on these rotations, taking more risks like lurking downfield. Arju, no boost used until that ball rolls out. Backboard trying to catch Brock asleep, and it almost works. Speed, high lob, no one on the backboard. Wave thinks it's his chance. Think again.
Chance here for Arju, though. Great fake out. Will at least get 1 person into their own half in the numbers game now. Should have gone to Maryville, but the lack of speed there, again, they just take their time trying to develop a play, and all they really do is give Speed a chance to maybe stunt. He gets it to the backboard, relating wave. It does whatever that is in the corner. It doesn't really develop the play, but again, spending more and more time on this orange half, eventually something's gonna give.
Cam a couple times now has been the saving grace on that backboard, making these plays and also then pressing up. Nice dunk off of Speed. Problem is, it's right to Wave. He'll hand it back to Speed potentially, but no, takes the inside exit instead, which then leads to Brock trying to predict things. He's in the middle, he's waiting for Cam, but he can't beat out that first defender. It really just feels like it's a matter of 50s at this point. Both teams challenging really well, but how are these combinations gonna work? 1, 2, and 3, Balti lurking, it's just wide, but the double! Davenport in the lead!
You cannot draw this up any better. All 3 players getting involved in relating wave. You have to just make a challenge at some point. He's waiting for his opportunity, but by the time he does, it is far too late. And this game might be far too late for Maryville. 40 seconds just to see an OT to keep the series going.
Arju taken off the pitch, another delay in the play. This is what you might call an upset, but nowadays, if you're asking Davenport, it's just another day in the office. Coming off a win from Indiana Tech, what a boost to their morale this could be. And with another touch like that, Balti, man of the match. He's just trying to add to those stats.
Arju, though, patient as ever, takes us off the backboard. Relating wave, a whole lot of space given, and again, another very delayed attempt at the pass. You can't choreograph it like that. They know how to play. They will keep on making challenges, and it might be enough to win the game. Out to midfield, Cam gonna let this dribble, and he will try to spike it down, but instead goes off the backboard. Speed, shot not even on target, not to the backboard, not to anywhere, and the upset is complete. Davenport, a 3-1 victory over Maryville.
Oh, surely we couldn't curse again. What are we doing, Bass? All 4 on the desk predicting Maryville. How could you not? This is why. Davenport is the wild card, and the wild card came up from the deck. excellent play from Davenport, getting these goals, but also, as we mentioned, Bolty, a third on this squad. He looks good. He looked phenomenal, getting the crucial saves and both goals to take this series home.
That was a frustrating one to watch if you're a Maryville fan, and it's a very rewarding one to watch if you are a Davenport fan. This is the version of Davenport we said that could arrive. We just don't really know what to expect from them. At their highest, they are competing with the best of them. At their lowest, they are falling to teams we do not anticipate them to even get remotely beat by. It's all over the place. It makes it extraordinarily difficult to rank these teams, to have any idea of who the favorite are in these matches, but at the end of the day, it's still Maryville. This theoretically should be an almost untouchable team, and they didn't even get to game 5.
It's a tough one. I mean, you're hitting some good clips here. Bolty, that is a goal that, of course, we highlight with, yeah, it's an open net, but it is a double tap. It's taken at pace, but also that is all three players. That is a 1-2-3 passing play, cutting across court, really tripping up the defense. So I can't even say that Maryville's like, just losing because, they're giving up open nets necessarily or being able to make sloppy plays. Davenport was playing in a situation where they had to be perfect, they had to be fast, they had to adjust quickly, and they are. If we want to look for a contrast and how to play against a top team in the previous series and now, that is exactly how you do it. It's why I like this Davenport squad, and it's why it is no fluke that they are in this league play right now.
Yeah, incredibly impressive plays from them. Again, it's just one of these things where I can't believe I'm saying this, but Maryville got outplayed. They were the second best team in that match. It's not some sort of, they played bad on the day, the other team played good. They just looked second best. And considering the talk that we have had, I have no excuses. I have no defenses. All I have is a quick break for you guys. When we return, we've got more Collegiate Rocket League action. Do not go anywhere.
Put the car and drive, another lonely night, don't know what to do. Finally see what it's like going out every night when it's not with you. I see you whipping down a 4-5. It was December, it was you and I can't remember how to feel alive without you. I wonder what I would say if you stayed. If the times all changed and the games we played went away for the day, but you hated me for everything. Yeah, I would do it all again if the clock restarted, knowing it'll end with us broken hearted. We can both pretend I'm in love with someone new, someone just like you. Someone just like you. Just like you. Someone just like you. Someone just like you. Talking about the universe while you're with him, but you keep blowing up my line like I'm with you again. It's just like 1996 and you doing that thing you do. You keep on lying to yourself about everything we've been through. It'd be cool if you let off all this and emptied your baggage like you cleaning out your Birkin. You at the club and telling everyone you're working, but I know you're mad and honestly you probably heard I wonder what I would say if you stayed. If the times all changed and the games we played went away for the day, but you hated me for everything. Yeah, I would do it all again if the clock restarted, knowing it'll end with us broken hearted. We can both pretend I'm in love with someone new, someone just like you. Someone just like you. Someone just like you.
One way or another, it's alright. slip so easily. Fighters and lovers in your eyes, running around your head. There's 1,000 enemies, but there's a fire lighting up the dark. We're gonna watch them fall, 'cause if you need a little wild card, I'll be the one you call. Ooh, it's alright, it's only human when the feeling overcomes, like the beating of a drum. I'll be the one you call. Ooh, it's alright, it's only human when the feeling overrides, going deep into the night. I'll be the one you call. 1800, it's only human. I'll be the one you call when watch 'em fall. 1800, it's only human. I'll be the one you call when watch 'em fall. I know you wonder how it ends, so that your body can begin. Louder and louder, let it in. Building an army, baby, the voices, they won't win. 'Cause there's a fire lighting up the dark. We're gonna watch 'em fall. And if you need a little wild card, I'll be the one you call. Yeah, there's a fire lighting up the dark. We're gonna watch 'em fall. And if you need a little wild card, I'll be the one you call. Ooh, it's alright, it's only human when the feeling overcomes, like the beating of a drum. I'll be the one you call. Ooh, it's alright, it's only human when the feeling overrides,
Welcome back, everyone. I'm here with our Davenport winners, and here I have Cam, a long-standing veteran within CRL. How you doing, man? It's been a while since you've been on here.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Excited to get the win.
Dude, it was a huge upset win, no doubt about it. A lot of people kind of had Maryville as either a top 2 or even in some cases top 1 team. Yet you come in, batter them. How exactly did you dismantle them?
I just think we were one cohesive unit, you know? I think our biggest issue is comms, but we had really good comms that series, and I think that if we continue to do that, we have a good shot at playoffs this semester.
Okay, and so without kind of, you know, I guess exposing any strats or anything of the sort, what do you think kind of went wrong for Maryville here? Because, I mean, they're a team that obviously has the player caliber to do so, but you guys were just walking kind of all over them.
Yeah, I think they were just lost. They didn't really seem like a team. They were good mechanically, but they were kind of lost. I think they need to scrim more. But yeah. But no, I just think we played good, you know? It wasn't even them, it was just us.
You guys played
good.
excellent.
Yeah.
It was so fun to watch you guys. I love watching this team because you guys continuously just are so like off the wall with how you guys play.
Yeah. Especially that last goal right there. That was a good last goal.
That was
play.
really good. Yeah, Bolty's kind of nice. All right. So, what are your expectations for the season? I mean, I think a lot of people didn't really have you kind of as contenders throughout the season, but now you're firmly in it. And you guys had a bit of a low start, but this has been a great push forward. What are your guys' expectations?
I think the sky's the limit for us. And to be honest, at the beginning of the semester and mainly all of this year, I just wasn't really trying as much. And it was kind of very selfish of me and lame, but ever since we lost to Cumberland and we had a team talk and all that stuff, we've been trying and playing much better together. So yeah.
Sweet. Okay. And I mean, like, kind of going into the team aspect, you guys have been playing together for a long time now. We've seen Davenport in this particular squad play together. What is making things click, you know, now of all times?
I'm really not sure. It's just the comms, and we're all just playing really good together. We haven't really changed much, like specific gameplay stuff. It's just been the comms and the energy and, you know, being together.
Maybe there's a particular yellow elephant in the room who's providing a lot of assistance.
Who, Kevin?
Who's Kevin?
The minion. Oh, is that you weren't talking about, Kevin?
All right, great. Okay, good to know he's got a name. Okay, so lastly, you know, a lot of people kind of doubted you coming into this season. We've seen Davenport kind of peak and fall. What do you have to say against any of your doubters?
Keep on doubting us. Keep on putting us out of top 10, and hopefully we'll make playoffs and prove you guys wrong.
I am not guilty. I am guilty of that. I'm sorry, Cam.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all 4 of you are guilty, but it's all good. Maybe we'll be in the top 10 this week.
We will see. I mean, this ranking is going to be quite crazy. But dude, thank you so much. Congrats on your win. I'm looking forward to seeing your next matches. He was talking to you guys, by the way, not me.
Whoa. I mean, yeah, we did all kind of curse Maryville a bit there, but Seb, I do have to give you credit where it is due. You did say that they are a bit on fraud watch right now, and it seems like that's all we're seeing of them on stream, unfortunately. I mean, we saw originally them against Indiana Tech, and now we see it here against this Davenport roster, and it's just been such an interesting way to see them move forward, where they just seem to have a lot of more pressure on them in comparison to the matches if you watch the replays when they're playing off stream.
I mean, it just feels like right now we know what we want to expect out of Maryville. This is a team who we all, like many of us, had at one point or another as first place in the nation. We knew that when this roster was going to be built, the caliber that they're bringing from RLCS, which was kind of the main argument, along with the caliber already established through CRL, Arju being a national champion, this was the team that was supposed to propel things forward to #1. And every single time they've had to live up to that reputation, it's just been a miss. It's been something has been off. The team chemistry's not there. And like Cam mentioned, the mechanics are there, but they're not playing as a team. And maybe it's a factor of scrimming or the like, but maybe scrimming is the answer. Maybe they're not getting the scrims in or whatever it might be. It's just not working for them.
Yeah, it's a tough spot to find yourselves in. I mean, especially because I think that's the issue where a lot of these teams have, right? Because it's during the season for RLCS. They're focused on that as much as they can, especially because there's only 2 more regionals left until the end of the split, right? And the end of regular season until you get to the actual qualifications later on. But that's not much time for these teams. And of course, as professional players, you do have to find that balancing act between your studies, CRL, and playing in RLCS. And I mean, we even saw players from WVU take a break from it just so that they could focus on their studies in CRL, because there's so much going on. It's such a different atmosphere to the fall semester. When you have that little bit of a breathing room, you don't have to worry as much and you can focus in on the games and your studies there. So that might have something to do with it, especially because, you know, when you're playing on your own time during the week, it's a little bit different when you're having to sit down, practice, scrim, get ready for a scheduled match. I mean, Bass, talking a little bit about that, I mean, what does Maryville really need to do to lock in for these series and prove that they can be that #1 team like Speed said they were?
I think, win for one, that would help. The second thing, I do agree with the scrims. I think actually that's a genuine thing, is I don't think we've seen enough teams that have been scrimming to a consistent level. And I think on top of that, just again, being able to take every single one of these games seriously. Something we have heard from a lot of the top teams is that, like, they'll play the first game and go, okay, this team got hands, whatever, and then they'll, you know, continue to play through the game. And then by the time that they get to series point is when they go, okay, we have to lock in and play our game. You have to do that from the very get-go. I think that's something we also saw from Winthrop in their first loss, was that they took a loss and immediately were like, hey, we need a warm-up scrim before our next matchup. Yeah, you should be taking warm-up scrims. If you come into these cold, let me put it this way. Maybe you don't warm up scrim. I can guarantee the team that's an underdog is coming into this one with a warm up scrim, and that just gives them the advantage off rip.
Yeah, that's kind of what we saw there with Davenport at the end. But Taco, since you're back, we're going to shift gears. Why don't you bring us into our next series of the day?
Yes, and it's a banger, or at least you'd expect it to be. Northwood is coming in and facing off against a team that we should be pretty familiar with, Winthrop, entering in. Not a team we've really seen on stream yet, and that's what we like to see. I would say 2 teams that we expect to be at the very top. Creams, new ad Drewy, along with the veteran hockey, and of course Winthrop with the Captain America, Garrett G, Percy, and T. Corell. I mean, this is 2 squads that, like, we've been waiting to see if they can actually make it to this broadcast. And finally, they're both available. So lucky us and lucky the viewership.
Real quick, you guys are all acting that, like, you're acting so hesitant that this isn't going to produce a fantastic match. Guys, these are the 2 teams we wanted to play and supposed to be match of the day. Be excited.
I don't know who you're talking about.
I'm very excited.
I'm excited.
Personally. I think the big thing is, like, there's so much expectations for these top teams, and so far we haven't seen them showcase the skill that we know that they are capable of. That is the biggest thing for these squads. Can they rise to the challenge? Will they be the ones to prove that they are the best above the rest? And right now, Drew, the new face on the squad here from Michigan State, now in the driver's seat for Northwood, and I'm expecting big things from them specifically, but also their coach Nick. I mean, right off of RLCS, back into predicting what they need to do for these series ahead of time. And I know a lot of people have been saying, oh, hockey's in the retirement home at this point, but he's looking as strong as he can on the field. And they really just took a massive win against St. Clair, the #1 team currently in the nation. So that's got to at least go home for something. And Winthrop, they actually had a win today earlier on as well. So they're also looking pretty solid themselves, but a little bit of a different caliber. There's a Cumberland that they 3-0'd, and right now Ball State currently playing against the Cumberland roster, about to 2-0 them, up to potentially a 3-0 there as well. So maybe the performance we expect from Northwood is a little bit higher, and Winthrop, we just want them to showcase what they did at the end of the semester. But with that out of the way, Bass, I mean, what does Winthrop need to do to showcase a championship mentality that we've seen from them in the past?
I think just play to the standard level at which we've seen from them before. Again, I know it's obviously a different team. We've got the substitution of Drewy now in for Zanil, but Northwood did not have a great end of the semester, and part of that was due to the fact that Winthrop had a phenomenal end of the semester, making it all the way to the championship game. So I kind of look at this as if Winthrop can go back to usual play. If they take this as seriously as they are supposed to, which it's very clear that they have, this should be their series, especially considering that, yes, Northwood are talented, but they've also taken a weird loss. They lost to Fisher, and again, rating Fisher right now is one of the most difficult tasks in all of Collegiate Rock League. I have no idea where to place them, but they're a good team, but it's still, again, Northwood should not be losing to them. Similarly, obviously, Winthrop should not be losing to Akron Gold. Shout out Patty and Jonathan, one of the best duos in all of Collegiate Rock League that should have been unleashed a long time ago. But again, both these teams just need to find consistency. They do that, and we're all good. We got a banger series.
It's going to be a great one to see who comes out on top for this one. Northwood versus Winthrop. It can really go either way on this one. I think the biggest thing is that Northwood, they do have that massive win against St. Clair. Winthrop, we're waiting to see how they feel against the rest of the top competition in league play specifically. So this is kind of their time to shine if they can. So let's get into predictions on this one. Taco, who do you have it taking it?
Honestly, coming into the semester, I saw Zanil leave and go to Baylor. I'm like, great pickup, Baylor. Love that. And now it's like, okay, well, who are they going to replace it with? I was actually texting a lot of the players and saying, hey, who's going to recruit? They were keeping tight lips. They announced Drewy, and I was like, okay, I mean, Drew's really good, but how's that going to mesh? Apparently very well. They're looking great. Everyone I've talked to says they look great, so I'm going to go with Northwood for this one. I think Winthrop is still kind of getting their feet underneath them and being able to actually gather themselves in league play. I think Northwood's already hit the ground running. They look great.
Okay, one for Northwood. Do we have two, or do we have one the other direction here, Seb?
I fundamentally think that St. Clair have set the standard for this season of CRL. I think the Maryville loss, especially now, has shown it, and Northwood has beat that standard. Unfortunately for Winthrop, they have not played the enough matches for me to confidently vote for them. I'm going with Northwood on this one. I think this is a dynasty that's looking to return with a new piece, just like in years prior, and I'm very excited to see how this team performs.
Okay, we got two for Northwood. Are we going for another sweep here, Bass, or no?
Not even remotely. Look, man, until proven otherwise, I am not putting my full faith into this Northwood squad. Again, they did beat St. Clair. That's an impressive win. But also at the same time, we're still trying to figure out where St. Clair sit here. I personally have them as the #1 team in Collegiate Rocket League, but they've also shown vulnerabilities. And yes, Winthrop have shown vulnerabilities as well, but it's about do they return to form. And if I see both these teams at peak form, which I'm assuming they come into this series with, considering the severity of said series, I'm taking Winthrop. I think they take this one.
Okay, you know what, Bass? You've convinced me. I was going Northwood originally, but I'm like, Winthrop, I think they have something special on that roster. I mean, last semester, we were saying Percy is one of the, if not the best player in Collegiate Rocket League. You cannot doubt them, and they got the Captain America, Garrett G, on the squad as well with T. Carell. I mean, this is a star-studded roster, to say the least. And Drewy, still got to see exactly where they fit on this team, but this is going to be one of the greatest matches, hopefully, that we've seen in Collegiate Rocket League so far. I hope it goes to 5. I hope we get the series that we are all wanting, because it's two dynasties in collegiate esports. Winthrop versus Northwood. We'll see who is going to rise to the challenge. Is it going to be Garrett G leading them to another massive victory after the one versus Cumberland, or will Northwood shake the standings one more time? It's time to find out as we take the pitch.
Two sleeping giants have awakened finally to take on league play, and now they face off early to see who will take that first step to the playoffs. It's going to be Winthrop versus Northwood. One best of 5. My name is Seb, and along with me is Bass. Let's get down to it.
This has been anticipated as our premier match of the day for a multitude of reasons. This is easily two teams that at the end of the season we could be looking back, and this was the difference maker between them either making it into playoffs or not. It's two teams that could also make it through playoffs and win the entire thing. The quality on the pitch at this point is probably, bar none, the best we've seen this season. The question is, do they live up to expectations? I'm going to hope so. Seb, this is going to be a fun ride, man. I'm hoping we get a full 5 here, but we got to find out.
Yeah, I mean, the hope for this more than anything else is whether or not we're going to be entertained, whether or not the hype actually delivers, because we've had a lot of marquee matches over the past couple of weeks, and they've turned out to be sweeps, or just something doesn't click for one of the opposing teams, and it just ends up to be a failure of expectations. But for this one, we fully want to see all the teams locked in and finally get both of our potential top teams in top form.
Yeah, this will really give us an idea of where the top teams in all the Collegiate Rocket League kind of sit against each other after this, because obviously there have been, traded results. It's been really difficult for us to kind of calculate those results the weight of, say, Fisher beating this Northwood team or Winthrop taking a loss to Akron Gold. And how does that really factor into the overall standings for Collegiate Rocket League? This series should give us a lot of those answers. The first minute has not, though, so far. Both teams have had their attempts, but nobody able to convert on much. T-Corral would love to convert on this one with a good 50, but it's off the bar and out.
T-Corral went all the way across the pitch for that one. Hockey was even playing passive as third man, just trying to wait for his eventual push. Garrett G gonna go off the wall. Creams pre-jumps for it as well, trying to play defense. T-Corral is gonna dive in for this one. Winthrop managing the midfield well, keeping the boost in line. Garrett G puts a shot on. It will be saved by Hockey. Gets another pass across. T-Corral shadowing this to make sure it's still dangerous, but it'll be sent all the way back, and Winthrop will have to reset.
I much prefer the structure we are seeing from Winthrop right now over what Northwood is developing here. It's not poor play, but it just kind of feels like even if the ball does spike out, somebody is there and prepared on Winthrop every time. The way they've been able to hold on to this possession for extended periods has been extraordinarily impressive, even if it hasn't converted on anything yet. Just about 2 minutes gone here. Hockey now going to get a chance against Garrett G. He won't get past him, and Garrett will get a follow-up in the corner. He's going to camp the boost, though, so now it's up to T-Corral and Percy to stop what could be another attempt if there was a player to receive the pass. Hockey, a great flip reset, but it goes to absolutely no one.
Hockey, no boost, wants to stick with it to at least buy some time for Northwood to go back and collect boost. Now you're going to see Creams go back in the attack. Is actually going to be beat out for this one. Drury will come into support. Creams doing some demo time as well. Tries to get over T-Corral. Great respawn from Percy, but a bit unlucky as well. Hockey going for the pass. Northwood in the driver's seat, looking for their chance.
All right, finally we get a flip of the script. It was all Winthrop through the first half of the game. Looking like the back half might just be all Northwood. They've held on to the possession for a while. That'll finally make them retreat. Not really sure what the plan was on that one. I can at least see the plan on this as Creams tries to get an outlet pass to a teammate, and Garrett tries to sneak in the shot. It's an awkward angle, but it will not fit.
A bit too close for comfort, though, I think, for Northwood, especially as they're holding down this line. Decent amount of boost, though, on the Northwood side. Cream's trying to get a demo to free up some room. Double commit on the Northwood side. Cream's going to go for the redirect, at least pass down. Drury dives in, but he'll be saved away from the Winthrop end. T-Corral was able to steal some boost and looking for his chance from the midfield. Tries to get the 50 through, but a double commit on the Northwood will keep it out as well.
I think that's a triple commit. All three of players were at least in net on that play, and this is the problem for Northwood right now, is they're turtling up every single time that Winthrop do develop any sort of offense, and they are wasting boost trying to escape it. It's not going to work out, at least not quite yet. Finally, Creams can alleviate some of the pressure with a long ball downfield. Now Percy to take over and send it right back into the blue half, and even get a pass out to T-Corral, and then back to himself. Brilliant read on the waterfall, and Winthrop are on the board first.
I was just about to say, yeah, the read on the waterfall, completely unexpected. Hockey, known for his defensive prowess, just wasn't able to get the read himself. And off of, frankly, a bit of a lucky break, but a fantastic read, Winthrop will take the lead here with 1 minute remaining. Northwood are going to be feeling the pressure at any moment now.
Well, it's a long ball that goes to nobody, and even Creams' touch doesn't really go to anybody either. Heavy that goes out to midfield, and immediately Garrett will swarm. The rest of Winthrop follow him, not quite, and T-Corral instead, as he continues to do, lurk out at midfield. He's been a great defensive posture for the team, and he might even get a goal for his own. The bouncer, though, in and out, and the long ball downfield, the bump on Percy should be enough, and Northwood will equalize.
Listen, I'm watching this in flat cam. This is a 3v1, and Creams literally just squishy saves it for the goal to tie up this game. This is one of the most ridiculous goals I've seen today.
The thing is, it's not a bad touch from Creams. I want to give him credit, but it's really the bump out at midfield that allows that. Percy would have gotten back to that ball otherwise. As we were stating, we've been complimentary of the third man position and rotation for Winthrop so far, but if you can disrupt them, if you can take them off their path, if you just prevent a save altogether, that should be enough. Can you do it again, though? T-Corral, like we mentioned, last man back, can get the boost and at least a 50. The ricochet out will not be on target, but Drew and Creams have to hustle as Garrett G is basically pre-jumping that one to the backboard.
Yeah, and he kind of needs to. I think they're trying to make sure they can extend as much possession with the last few seconds as possible. Garrett G with a decent amount of tank. He's going to be able to get over one. Drury has to chase this one back. Percy looking for the pass. T-Corral calls it off. And with that, I can imagine this will go to overtime. And yes, it will. So it will be a game one overtime between Northwood and Winthrop.
See if Hockey can get something started off the kickoff here. Not quite, but the drop down of Drewy should give him some space. Percy with a full tank, though. He'll barely flinch. He'll get bumped off the ball by Drewy, and oh boy, that actually might come back to bite them, because now it's a scramble the other way. The only player with a boost is Creams. He has to save it off the backboard, and that could have been a lot worse for Northwood.
Yeah, and I think Northwood is starting to feel that a little bit. They're letting too many of these chances go on by as Northwood trying to edge closer and closer to what could be a pivotal game one here, especially against what could be one of the best teams in CRL this year. Creams is going to go for the solo, tries to get T-Corral to it. Drewy has to come in, needs to make this one nice and hard, and he does! Drewy in overtime will take game one.
Perfect shot from Drury on this one as well. Multiple defenders back and with some boost, so he knows he needs to put it in the perfect placement, and he does. I think Garrett probably should have left that one for his teammate, but regardless, very impressive play from Northwood here, especially after a very shaky start to game one.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think, especially with that last play, it just felt like a bit too much space was provided for Drury, who, again, is no slouch at all, who has continuously shown just proactive offense and will go for that shot when needed. But Creams taking the MVP here for this game. A great defensive play as well, and a goal to his own. Really, that back line here for Northwood, and looking at some of the replays, it really did feel, I mean, outside of one goal for Winthrop off the waterfall, this is just Creams punishing, and then an eventual goal from Drury that no one from Winthrop could save.
Yeah, I think the problem we're starting to see develop here is that if Winthrop are going to send the house on most of these plays, they better come up with something. If they're sending all three players, you said they had a 3v1 numbers advantage and still couldn't convert. In comparison to Creams, who's getting breakaway plays and barely having to flinch, it's so much clear. It's clear the effort is much more there for Winthrop. They are burning these goals. They are building towards them, but they're kind of building towards nothing. And that's not enough. You need to make sure that if you are going to have that type of development, that amount of pressure on offense, it turns into at least a quality shot and some extra possession.
It just doesn't feel that the plays in terms of when you have the first man in and trying to go for demos, a bit of a disruptor play, that Northwood are trying to execute that a lot more efficiently than the likes of Winthrop. Winthrop, you'll see maybe T-Corral or Percy go ahead, or even Garrett G, but they're going for just a single touch and then just immediately leaving. There's not too much of an extended stay as first man, especially when it comes to a goal line like this with Percy opening things up. Finally, we get to see Winthrop wake up.
That's more like it. Percy on the board early, and again, it's another well-written out play here, just with the lead blocker and Percy kind of upfield if he needs to defend. Team Corral doesn't have a ton of space to boost, so he just says, I'll secure it instead. That's more what we want to see, is an efficient offense from Winthrop that's hopefully going to right their wrongs from game one here as we get started in game two.
So, let's see, how do Northwood react? We wanted a barn burner of a game. Percy is going to try and get ahead of this one, but won't be able to as the rotate comes back in time. Hockey. Wonder if he's going to be able to do a hockey flip in this game. Or was it hockey dash?
No, hockey reset, because I think well, actually,
I think it was I think it was okay. Drury punishes. We have a tie game.
We have a tie game for absolutely no reason. Percy, you had time. You at least needed to muscle through the 50 there. You're the last one back. That is your entire role to make sure that the counterattack is not free. And, brother, that's as free as America. That one just goes straight on into the net, and that's an equalizer that I don't know if I'm going to say is not earned by Northwood, but is very much given by Winthrop.
And now this one's a little bit dangerous as well. Percy chases this one down, trying to make up for the previous error. Percy. So for T-Corral, Hockey chases this one down. Creams over to Drury off the sidewall. Good demo as well. Can't get the second touch, but Hockey will collect. Again, just forcing the issue on the midfield has been the goal for Northwood. Once they have that, I say that's double commit. That doesn't look too pretty. And now Winthrop looking to regain some of their composure.
A touch from Percy, but Drury in the way. Try to carry this one out to midfield where Tinkerell is harassing Creams, but apparently not enough, so he can fire a shot on target. Percy barely flinches at this, and now we've gotten into a bit of a tennis match as heavy touch after heavy touch has this one going back and forth across the pitch. Maybe to the benefit of Northwood, as Creams is not going to follow up that touch. I'm impressed he even was able to turn that into something off the sidewall, and be impressed if Garrett can get around Hockey. He can't, because Hockey will just bump straight into him and remove him from the play, and fall into a little bit of a lull here as both teams trying to set up some sort of possession and just cannot.
Guys?
They can't set up almost an own goal. If Garrett didn't even put that on target, what just happened?
I don't know, but I think you see Northwood scrambling at the goal line now, trying to regain some semblance of structure. That way they can survive, and despite the amount of boost on the side of Winthrop, they still have yet to be able to take advantage. Garrett backs off, doesn't try to go for the bump. Percy just looks for a pass over to Tinkerell, but it's too non-committal. You can see Winthrop, they're just, in my opinion, just lazily throwing some of these possessions away, and now it just goes straight back into Northwood's hands, as now we get a reset, and it's going to be a bit difficult for Northwood to manage, as now Winthrop, they're doing everything they can to force the issue.
Seb, I'm sure you just had some brilliant commentary. I have just completely blacked out the last 90 seconds as I watch Winthrop squander chance after chance after chance. Something has to be converted there. You have the entirety of Northwood, not only on their back heel, brother, they are digging so far into the sand that they've created quicksand. This is ridiculous. Something should sink here. Winthrop, this is an onslaught of pressure, and you have converted on practically nothing.
Well, in a case of sink or swim, I think that'll be proven quite shortly. Tinkerell, it's a decent 50, but it's going to be a shot back. Drewy doesn't get the perfect angle. Hockey is sticking with it, though, and needs to go in his favor. Tinkerell could be very dangerous if he gets ahead of it, but again, just backs off. Winthrop weirdly playing passive in the defensive end, but the moment that they find their chance, they're trying to just collect and starve as much boost in that midfield as they can.
Brother, you can starve as much as you want. If you do nothing with that, it makes no difference. They were fighting with crumbs, and it still was apparently not enough. And actually, I think Northwood's going to now convert off of this, because it's chaos on the back end. Drury's not going to commit. Garrett doesn't have boost to get this further than midfield, and Hockey can get another challenge and maybe return to normalcy with a great passing play and a shot on target. Forget all of the development of offense. How about you just have a banger from midfield?
No, look at Drury here. You can see it a bit earlier in the play, and Drury had the full-on chance to steal that boost away from Garrett G, which was the only thing that enabled him to go for the shot in the first place. He hesitated, had no idea where to play, and that opened things up for Winthrop to take advantage off of that midfield pass. Now Hockey is going to be able to put it off the ceiling. Northwood wanting to make the run back off of that error.
Ooh, that's a heavy touch from Creams. It won't find its way to either of his teammates, but the extra touch from Percy will actually assist Hockey as he tries to bounce it off the ground and in. Not quite enough. Creams, though, to take over now and look for yet another pass. And, gentlemen, if you're going to pass to your teammate, you kind of got to let it, drop a little bit. Throwing it over the backboard isn't exactly going to help.
Yeah, I think you gotta add some creativity to these passes. Now, Drewy, just floating. Just floating through the air, like, you know, there was that meme, like, the I can't remember the Nintendo.
It's a really good impression. I like that.
I really...
You make music?
I do, but I...
Oh my gosh.
I can't promote that here, so... So either way, back into it. Northwood trying to make some music of their own. Can't get the bump as well. So it will be 30 seconds down by 1.
Whoa, Drury, what are we doing here, brother? A little bit of flopping about will actually give, I would think, some extra possession to Winthrop, but instead, they're all the way back and they don't have a ton of boost, so instead, they'll scramble to survive here with the final 30. Percy and Tinkerell, no boost either. Percy off the backboard has to be careful, and with a bump on Garrett, the only one with anything in his tank, they're gonna have to survive some more. Tinkerell gets it over Hockey's head, though. Drury doesn't have any boost, so surely this should be the end of regulation. Oh, wait a minute. Never mind. Hold on. They'll keep this one up. Northwood will get one more chance. To the sidewall goes Hockey to try and get it to his teammate. Percy, though, should spike this one down. And indeed, Winthrop will right their wrongs and take game 2.
But again, a close affair, really kind of based off of a bit of an error. And now it's just the smallest of plays that could determine the outlook of the series. Now we have a best of 3 ahead of us, but it has been just 1-goal games across.
It's been very close, and it's been very punishing. Again, we've talked a lot about how there's been inconsistencies, quite frankly, for both of these teams, whether it's on offense or defense. It's momentary at best. I think the overall level of play here has been excellent from both of these teams, but there are lapses, and there are moments where, like you said, it just kind of feels like the teams are head on a swivel, not sure where to stare. And it's been offense, it's been defense, it's even been the midfield, where a lot of the challenges that should be relatively understood, with a way to dance around them aerially, are instead not even turning into aerials, they're just turning into boomers downfield.
And I think it's kind of been the weird part as well for Northwood when I'm looking at how they're playing the goal line defense is that we've seen it time after time with Winthrop. It's that they have the tools, but they're not really making a shed. You know what I mean? They're not really kind of putting it to work. They're not getting the opportunities that I think they want. And it's like they're setting up so well, but then the moment that it really comes down to it, it's just, oh, we got a goal because we capitalized off a Northwood mistake, not so much creating the opportunity through demos or bumps ourselves.
Yeah, this is not very advantageous Rocket League at the moment. Or actually, I guess maybe it's more advantageous than it is creative. I don't know. We're throwing around a lot of big words in a series that already has me flabbergasted, considering
but
that,
that's
again,
what this is for,
half of that
'cause
game
college.
it has to be erased from my memory from the lack of conversions from Winthrop. Please do a little bit better here in Game 3 and give us some more convincing play, at least on offense.
Game 3 underway. Northwood, Winthrop, one of the most expected and hyped matches to come from this league play. Two teams we would hope, or early predictions from many analysts, that these are two teams we would expect in the playoffs for sure. So Creams will try and open this one up, but thus far, I mean, there is a lot to play for, and both teams want it extremely.
Rui, shot on target, turned away by Percy. Bounce out to midfield, will go straight to Creams, who just gives it away back to Percy again. I think he was anticipating Hockey would have that read a little bit quicker, but this has been the problem. These heavy balls kind of turn into 50-50s where either team could come away with the advantage. Ticarel, all the advantage in the world, but Percy wasn't prepared for the extra touch. Honestly, I kind of wish he was. That was a brilliant play from T, and this is a great shot from Creams. What a response.
What a pass as well. This 1-2 play. Hockey finds his duo of years now to be able to wrap this one up, and with it, the early lead.
Great stuff from Northwood to just, I wouldn't say correct a lot of the wrongs from the last game, but kind of prove they can still get those quick transitions that turn into lethal shots. And they also maybe get the 1v1 aerials. Drew can at least get around Percy, and Ticarel's awkward, meaning his teammate can fire one on net. Great play from both Drew and Hockey immediately off a kickoff.
You know what I'm going to say. Ticarel, perfect chance for the hockey dash. Just saying. Right off the spawn, go up the corner. That is how you save it. And I hope Hockey just, in the interview, just says, man, he could have saved that.
I still don't think we're going to call it the hockey dash. I appreciate that. I mean, again, for the legacy that he's had, I wouldn't be upset if he ends up coining his own term on this one. But, bro, can we please stop having everything be associated to somebody? Isn't Evan still trying to claim it as the Evan Pop?
I don't know. But I do like the idea of historical names. I think it's a cool thing that is very unique to esports. But in this case, I mean, hockey's the GOAT, man. He's been around for a very long time. So if he gets something, I'm happy.
Yeah,
it's also kind of crazy to see because, like, we look at Hockey, CRL world champion, been playing on Northwood for forever. Very much kind of our royalty in a server where we have Ticarel and Garrett G in.
I mean, again, he is legitimately the GOAT of Collegiate Rocket League. That's both for the longevity, for the accolades that he has achieved. It's a whole bunch of different stuff. But if you don't know the legacy of Hockey, I implore you to learn more about the Collegiate Rocket League space. And oh my goodness, I implore you to watch this one back, because this is a great proof of his greatness.
Sorry, that took so long to roll in with no defense that I literally was able to take a sip of my coffee. It was great. 105 kilometers per hour despite that, actually, because of the last hit too. Brilliant work.
I'm getting a little blown away here, brother, because in the meantime, while we've been kind of, messing about trying to develop this game, talking up Hockey, the team has done it themselves. 3-0, and we are not even at halftime. After the impressive performance from Winthrop in the last one, you expect at least a little bit more resistance. Instead, we get all three players in the corner, the final shot from Ticarel, and it's still not even that threatening.
We have a half game remaining, and with it doesn't take much to net 3 goals in a short period of time. We've seen that over the course of this weekend alone, frankly, in RLCS and, of course, in CRL. So I imagine Winthrop aren't too concerned. Great pass from Garrett. Percy does get cut off, though. Garrett will try and clean up and go for the initial touch himself, but it will be knocked away. Now Winthrop have to reset. Cream's just gonna bang this one downfield to buy Northwood some time.
They keep doing this, man. They're testing that final defender for Winthrop, and the final defender has not passed with flying colors so far, so I don't really blame them. It's also forcing Winthrop to really alleviate some of their own pressure by retreating each time. So very well coordinated from Northwood. This isn't surprising because shout out to their coach in Nick. Yeah, that's the same one as M80 who just played in RLCS. So they've got a good structure behind them. Meanwhile, Winthrop, the structure that we were complimentary of in Game 1, has all but dissipated here in Game 3.
Essentially, we don't see Winthrop being able to create those early chances as well. The possession has been completely in Northwood's favor. Shot's just going to go on off the crossbar. So Winthrop, they're given one. Are you able to make this opportunity work, or is it going to fall on its face? Creams will have to get the 15. He does. And look at all the boost that's left on Northwood. They're so prepared to take on whatever Winthrop has to throw at them.
Oh, and even shots like that. The pass out center, the first real threatening chance in a minute here for Winthrop, and they convert on the follow-up. I think this is on T. Corral for the harassment in net.
I think also, but I think Drewy went up for it, and I think it might have just been a whiff. I think he just had a misread on where that shot was coming from.
To be fair, that's perfectly placed off the bar and in. That's Captain America slotting it like he has for quite literally centuries at this point. The only thing is that they still need two.
He's old. He's not that old, man.
Brother, he's younger than me. If we're calling him a dinosaur, I am ancient. So it's all right. We can make the old jokes every once in a while, mainly because, honestly, it might be boosting them. Since we have, it's actually now been Winthrop in the driver's seat. The shot from Drewy, though, turned away.
Yeah, the possession has flipped, certainly, in Winthrop's favor. Good pass back essentially, but it's way too high for Person to deal with. Garrett G's going to go for the shot anyway. Now the offensive rotation has gotten a lot more efficient here for Winthrop as they're trying to handle the boost coverage as well. Shot's going to go on. You can even see players sticking around, trying to disrupt Northwood as they go back on transition. Hockey looking to do the same. Drewy looking to create a possible opportunity here for Creams, but nothing manifests.
I think if they had just shot that on target, that would have been in. I'm not really sure where the final player rotating back was for Winthrop, but it looked from my perspective like that would have been a surefire goal and a surefire way to lock up this game. Nothing guaranteed, though, because with 20 seconds left and another offense mounting, Winthrop find some last-second miracles. You do need to challenge Drewy in order for that to happen, though, when it's ricocheted the ceiling and a shot towards target. And not on in. It should be enough time wasted regardless.
I could hear a heart flutter from here as that one was casually rolling on the goal line. Either way, doesn't matter. It's a 3-1 score line. This will touch the ground. Northwood take the lead in the series.
They're on series point overall here. Now it's a response from Winthrop necessary if they want to keep this one extended. Again, this could have gone either way. I think it's just been the lack of coordinated play at certain moments that has surprised us. Again, a lot of breakaway plays that have been immediate goals, a lot of mistakes on defense that have been punished, and hesitation out of midfield. That's something we've been calling since game number 1 here. So I don't know. I'm still got an uneasy feeling about the version of both of these teams we're seeing right now, but the play has still been of utmost quality. It's just maybe not as consistent as we were hoping for.
I mean, I think when we're talking about the consistency, we do have to talk about Winthrop here because we're seeing points and periods where they're starting to peak, where they're starting to put the pieces together. We saw it especially in that last minute where, you know, the rotations got a bit tighter. You saw players stick around on that goal line to disrupt a lot more, notably from T. Corral and from Garrett G. And now Northwood have to be a bit more careful. And yeah, it was a 3-1 score line, but we're starting to see Winthrop cook a little bit more, especially coming into this 4th game.
Yeah, I mean, again, both of these teams are looking solid. I just, like we said, need to see Winthrop with a lot better conversion on a lot of the chances that they're making right now. The offense has looked very good. I really do want to give them all the flowers in the world for the development of what they are doing, but it's those final plays, the final payoffs that just haven't had the same sort of hit, the same sort of oomph that you expect. Exactly, yeah. We talk a lot about, you know, in boxing terms, you're looking for a jab here, a left hook there, but the knockout blow is what matters the most. So if you continue to bruise and batter, it doesn't matter if you can't survive this game. Game 4, Neo Tokyo, it is do or die here for Winthrop if they even want to see series points.
Well, as we say in MMA terms, to actually take down your opponent, you need to go for the legs, and Creams does so here, being able to chop down Winthrop early with this goal.
There was at no point in this entire play that Winthrop looked comfortable. T-Corell, again, we've said he's been designated as a third man for this team. It's pretty clear because he never was allowed to leave the net. Meanwhile, Percy and Garrett are trying to grab some boost to find a way to escape the half, and they just never do. Things going from bad to worse here as now the timer starts. 4.5 minutes before we see Winthrop not only lose the series, but go down in a 3-1 unless they respond here. The shot, though, denied again.
Creams again, head smart as always. I've always said he's one of the more intelligent players that we have on the pitch for CRL. Just always knows where to place himself on the defensive end. Sure, he might be a bit wily on the offensive end, but when it comes to defense, he always just has such patience. And now Hockey gonna try and get the read against Garrett G. A demo comes through, but nothing will come from it. Garrett G is again looking to play this high ball, pass down, but no one will come for the shot.
I legitimately thought Hockey was about to dunk out that long ball downfield.
It was pretty close. It was
100%
scary.
believed it. I know it's scary, but like, bro, again, these are two guardians of the scene. One of them is a grandfather of RLCS. The other one is a grandfather of CRL. If there's any two players who have the experience to, kind of play some mind games on a clear like that, it is definitely the two of them.
So, yeah, in a fight for the midfield, that's actually a great 15. Garrett G left his third man. Pretty passive third man at that, all the way back to the goal line. Percy, Garrett G is going to chase this one down. Go ahead, steal some boost. If the pass comes through, T-Corell playing that third option for the shot as Garrett G switches over to first man and just tries to disrupt as much as he can.
Oh, good pass from T.
could be
Back
good.
to Percy. To almost back to Garrett or on target. Kind of gets stuck between the two of them, though, and it goes to the opposite corner. I like to see T-Corell starting to get more involved in this offense. That's a player we haven't been able to call out all too much throughout this series, and I'd like to see him get activated. He's a very talented player with abilities, and just haven't been able to mention that.
Hockey with a great position and good catch. Cream's going to put this one on. T-Corell has to dive down for this. Hockey with no boost. This makes the transition very dangerous. Drewy has to dive in, but he can't. Percy will tie this one up.
All three players playing well on this one. Great save initially from T-Corell and a great heads-up play from Garrett to just send this downfield. He knows Percy's somewhere there lurking, and he doesn't necessarily put it in a perfect position, but Percy smashes that one into the top right of a pinch off the backboard. Well played from all three Winthrop players. That's more what we've been waiting for.
T-Corell, ooh, okay, just dives in, no care in the world. Now we're starting to see the Winthrop aggression coming out immediately. No care about whether or not Northwood gets a transition in return. They just want to go for every single shot possible, every touch they can. Garrett G tries to go for the redirects pass, but Percy's going to come in. A shot on, close post, but it will be a double commit for Northwood for the save.
They're starting to make Northwood look uncomfortable on defense again. This is something we haven't seen in a while, and I do think it's the better option for Winthrop. Don't hold a player back just in case of those counterattacks. Those long ball downfield are a lot less aggressive. You are more prepared for them, but you can now pull the third player up past midfield and continue said offense. It's so much pressure. It's so difficult to hold on to, but one individual breakaway could change things up. So glad to see they still can play defense when necessary.
Hockey is so head smart for these quick transitions. Immediately called on for that early pre-jump to make an attempt at the shot. Now Creams is going to go for this midfield play again, but Winthrop know and are wiser. Know exactly how Creams likes to take that shot and immediately shuts this one down as that one gets a bit more close for comfort.
That was almost an own goal, and it would have been one of the weirder ones we've had to date. It instead will keep us at a tied scoreline here with 100 to play, and Hockey's challenge off the ceiling, unfortunately, will now not help out his team. That could if there weren't a Creams back, but Garrett starting to feel himself as well. Again, the offense for Winthrop coming to life here, and they are willing to take those risks, maybe because if they don't, this series is over anyways. 80 seconds to play. Garrett off the sidewall. Percy's already head hunting, which forces an immediate challenge from Hockey, and T-Corell can swing in the corner. Cream's not a great touch. Does anybody recognize that? Absolutely. And Percy now in a 1v2, pops it around one, looks to bump Hockey, but can't find contact.
Hockey way too smart for that. Now Cream's looking for the second touch. Garrett G, of course, the experience, knows perfectly where to place it. As this will transition back and forth now, both just sending it down, looking to set up any offensive pressure. Under a minute remaining, Cream's looking for the solo, but can't get anything done.
Drewy, though, good catch in the corner. He's hoping to get it back to Creams, but that's an awkward landing for everybody involved, so Garrett can at least get it out of the corner, and the shot afterwards will go to Percy, who can turn it away again. More pressure here from Northwood, but none of these chances really looking all too threatening, as Winthrop now get another chance with just about 30 to play.
Percy even going in to try and continue to disrupt and get these demos, but it's just not enough. I feel like he's just having a hard time with these reads. Hockey's going to send this one high, and he's going to have to get the second touch. And you can see how aggressive the positioning is from the offensive rotation right now. Creams with the miss, but it still goes off the post. Garrett G cuts in to try and keep this dangerous. Everyone on Winthrop locked and loaded, waiting for Northwood to make that initial mistake. Garrett G is going to try and keep it in the midfield as Seagroll will collect the boost and cut back in. Hockey takes the possession, but it will go to overtime again.
They're lucky that hits the ground. That was numbers advantage to Northwood, and it could have been the end of the series. This kickoff still could be, or it could be an extension, if not for Cream's back. Wisely rotates back, sees the possession in favor of Winthrop, and the boost is as well off the sidewall. T. Carell looks to get around Hockey, and he does. There's the passing play, and the bump! Percy, congrats on the goal. That is a T. Carell play and a half.
The 1-2 play between these two. Perfect chemistry to make it work, but T. Carell deletes Drewy from that goal line. And now Winthrop have entered and have made this a challenge.
This is what we were hoping for, and that is the version of Winthrop that we have been asking for the entire day. I know it might have sounded critical to be like, Winthrop, you're not really playing to the level we expect. That's because this is the level we expect. Perfect passing plays mid-air, excellent defense, even on the breakaway plays. They were in favor in almost every category here. It's 6 saves to 4, so technically a little more favor Northwood, but they outshoot their opponents by over twice the amount.
I know, and also it's just what a switch in momentum. We knew that, especially after that last minute of a game, of game 3, where it just felt like it was all in Winthrop's favor. They were able to carry that exact same momentum over into game 4, where it really was, the momentum just felt entirely, and the possession felt entirely in Winthrop's favor. There was very little where you could tell that they were off of, like out of the driver's seat, out of control of a situation. Only a couple times did it get really dangerous, but for Winthrop, they just were continuously clamping down, tighter rotations, more bumps, and getting more involved in the play.
You can really see the difference between the two teams and their prep coming into this game. I think it is Nick entirely in the ears of Northwood telling them what to do. Meanwhile, it's a conversation amongst all three of the players on Winthrop. Garrett has his spiel. All of a sudden, Percy has his, and I have to imagine T-Carell is going to get at least a word in before we start this game 5. They need to be in sync. The other team needs to have their coach behind them. It is a classic here on the Collegiate Rocket League stream. This is what we were hoping for our third match of the day. The only thing left to discover is who wins it. Game 5, Champions Field between Northwood and Winthrop.
Well, we got the game 5 that we wanted, that we asked for. We weren't disappointed, and it has delivered every single step of the way. A 2v1 situation here. Drewy finally comes in on the back line. Now Northwood are in danger, and T-Carell punishes to open up game 5.
We asked for T-Carell to get more involved in offense, and he said gladly. Percy, a perfect waterfall down, and he called the bluff on Drewy. He knew Drewy had to go for the 50, and he goes, all right, if you're not going to directly play the ball, I'm shooting it around you. Very heads-up play, phenomenal performance from Winthrop to kick off game 5.
And now Northwood want to respond. Can they make the adaptations in time? Historically, Northwood, one of the best adaptations that we've seen in CRL history in almost all of its iterations. And now they have to do so against the likes of Garrett G, T-Carell, and Percy. Do they have the ability to make it work this time around?
The only difference is that I think this is the first game where we've seen Winthrop score almost immediately. It's usually Northwood that get it off the kickoff with some sort of shenanigans. The fact that now they have to play from behind might make this a different game. Maybe we get a more aggressive version of Northwood with so much less that they have to play for, considering, you have to. You can't turtle. You can't play defensively. You need to start rushing. And maybe we see a version of Winthrop that also start to do the same. Maybe they play a more defensive game. They might need to if they're own goaling, redirecting. I don't know what you call that. That was a scary scenario.
Hockey, though, wasn't able to take the boost and just went for the ball instead, as now Winthrop have the chance to be able to get some boost onto the board. Creams, it's a bit too wide for him to make a shot, so he's just going to look to keep this in play as both Hockey and Drewy look to reset. Double commits coming out all over the place for Winthrop to keep this out.
Yeah, the good thing is, though, they're holding on to boost. They're not necessarily expending their entire tank on every challenge, and even if they're not getting those corner boosts and getting them stolen, they've done a good job of having resources to transition downfield. Percy a good 50, whereas Garrett not there. He'll back off and let Creams now take it off the sidewall as Drewy tries to harass him, and Percy has to make the save. T-Carell, not a lot of boost in the tank, but a good 50 to drag it out to midfield, where Percy will not make the challenge. It's actually Garrett instead, as he's being harassed by Hockey, and Creams send it to the ceiling. Northwood, they're starting to get creative on these plays, but I do fear they might be upping the pace a little too much. If they make one mistake on defense, that's an easy counter.
Yeah, we've seen Winthrop, they can transition very well. I mean, look at the caliber of players they have on the team, but you can see Northwood, they've taken their approach of disruption and they have gone all the way with it. Sending in Drewy, sending in Cream, sending in Hockey, whoever is first, just go burr and demo everyone. That is the plan. Creams to the great 50. Drew's going to go up high for this one again. A double commit from the Winthrop side will keep the save and keep the ball in play. Half a game gone by. Winthrop still have the lead. Percy trying to make the second shot. It's dangerous. T-Corral dives in, but Hockey's able to keep it out.
Garrett out of midfield needs to win this 50 against Hockey. He does not. The good thing is Percy behind him has a full tank and some space to work with, if not for Creams on the immediate challenge. To answer the question already, this is a much more aggressive version of Northwood, and they know that time ticks away. Halfway elapsed here in game number 5, and it's still a 1-0 in favor of Winthrop. Offset kickoff. Maybe this will change it. Drewy the double doesn't contact. The follow is off target, and despite the calamity in net, Winthrop will not get punished.
Bass, I saw the vision. I saw the play.
We all did!
In a million different timelines. That one scores!
Oh, T-Corral, he might score on the rebound here, though. Off the backboard, awkward for Hockey and Percy to contain this. Is anybody going to go up for this? Eventually, Creams will, but that's a prepared defense now for all of Winthrop. Percy won't even jump off this off the backboard. He'll instead take the boost in the corner, and again, the problem is right now is despite the, I would say, less than coordinated defense for Winthrop, they're still not feeling the pressure.
Not at all. Winthrop, they're just being so efficient with their boost usage. They're taking all of these demos in stride and not really letting too much disrupt them. We'll see if they can manage, though. Hockey can't get the second, doesn't get the angle. Drew's efforts goes a bit in vain. Hockey, can you manage? As Creams can't get any disruption done now, too. And now the death timer starts to toll here. Drewy gets the lob over one. Do Northwood have what it takes here to take this to a tie?
They just can't starve for long enough at this point. Even if they do get a corner boost here or there, the defense at least has one player that's able to either get a demo, get a boost out of midfield, get a boost in the corner somewhere, and just keep them with some resources to play with. Speaking of which, Percy dips around the final offense, finds the save, and he's still at a full tank of boost. Again, you're trying to make them uncomfortable. They're barely breaking a sweat.
That was such a good example of just they are so patient when it comes to these disruptive plays that Northwood are trying to attempt. Drewy is first man up, and that just gets sent all the way back. That's going to take a lot of time as the last 30 seconds are approaching. Now Northwood can't afford to be on the back foot here. They really need to lock in, get these opportunities. Garrett G, that's not the best touch, and now Winthrop, they're going to try and recover and manage the last 10 seconds the best they can. That's not a good start for Northwood with the last few seconds. It seems that after all this time, after we doubted Winthrop, they continue to hold on, keep it within one goal, and that will be the series.
You doubted them. I did not. Winthrop continue to hold their position somewhere on the podium. Is this enough to propel them into first place, into the #1 ranking in North America? I think there's some arguments to say yes, especially with how they put together that performance in Game 5.
That was stellar all the way through. It really did feel like going through the series that honestly in the first half, Northwood, outside of just like the actual game wins, just felt like the better team. Even in times where it looked as though Winthrop were going to win, you really did feel that Northwood just felt more composed as a roster. Yet in those last games 4 and 5, that was all Winthrop. Firm control, firm defense, no mistakes at all in rotation. Everything just felt calm, cool, and efficient.
I will state, this is kind of pointing out the concerns we did have for Northwood throughout this season, which was how does Drewy slot into a well-established team that is good and be able to handle the pressure of being not only a team, because, again, Drewy's been around for a while. He's played on CRL in multiple different fashions. The problem is he's come from St. Edward's and the Michigan State. 2 universities where they're not expected to kind of be at that mountaintop and keep that level of play. Drewy started off the series fantastic. He had goal and assists through the first 3 games, a minimum of 1, and then he didn't have anything. Games 4 nor 5. At 100 points in Game 5. I hate to put a spotlight on him, but this is hard, man.
He got 96 points, which is... That's really hard. Now, I understand low-scoring affair, but yeah, you got to be more involved. To be fair, and in all fairness, Drewy was trying to play more of an antagonistic role, trying to demo a lot more and be disruptive, a lot more than his teammates were. The problem is that even if you are attempting that, they need to land. They need to be effective.
Yes.
And Winthrop, they couldn't get that going early. Northwood, in Game 5, they couldn't get it going either.
Yeah, I think the problem is that in moments like that, you need to know how to keep your calm and keep the same rotations as before. If you start to break from that and it's not successful, that's not, all right, let's double down on this new play style that is not successful. You have to revert back, find a way to keep some calm, and find a way to close out a series like that. We, however, are not closing out the day quite yet. We've got one more series here for Collegiate Rocket League, so when we return, our final match of the day, do not go anywhere.
Everything will be okay. Move. Okay. Move. Okay. Move. Take a deep breath. Have fun. Everything will be okay. Move. Okay. Move. Okay. Move.
All the things are far away, we're alright. That's when we forget just to be fine. Make us come together and it's alright. That's when you remember who you are.
Well, we've seen a conclusion of another exciting match within CRL, and it turned out to be a Winthrop dub over Northwood. I'm here with a member of that Winthrop squad, T. Carell, getting a Game 5 thriller under the belt. How's it feel?
Feels good. I mean, I think it was a sloppy series from both teams, but we're able to pull it out, so it's good.
I mean, that's good to hear. I mean, even if it is a little sloppy at the end of the day, you're just going to see that 3-2. You're going to see that win in the column.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all that matters. Especially when it comes through a lot of really good defense. I mean, Percy had a bunch of miracle saves, but what are the comms like when you're in a series where you're dealing with like 10, 20 shots that feel like constantly right on your target, and you have to make sure you guys aren't crossing each other's paths?
I mean, it's kind of tough whenever you get boost starved and you have to like just make every single pad count at that point whenever you're just starved for so long. But I don't know. I think we figured it out, so.
So, I mean, coming into this season, we were super excited to see how everyone is going. We're saying, CRL's close as it's ever been. And your first series, you guys lose in Game 5 to Akron Gold, which is kind of this upstart team. And then afterwards, I saw that your manager, Gabriel, actually started to schedule scrims for you guys. What was the mental after that first series, realizing that this is the new status of CRL?
I mean, they played good. I think, I don't think we were really taking it too hard. We know that, like, we weren't really playing the best, and like it was our first series, so like we were just like, just let one go. Like there's so many more matches to play. So we were fine. We weren't like too stressed out.
Okay. I mean, that's important since, after all, you do have a lot of hard competition going ahead, especially like Northwood. You just got the victory, but is there any specific prep you go into against Northwood? It seems like this is kind of becoming a classic matchup within CRL. You guys always seem to go down to the wire. So take us inside, like, what happens when you see Northwood as your next game on the schedule?
We were talking about it before the series, and we were like, didn't we have like a crazy matchup last time? And we did again. We guess another game 5. I don't think we have any sort of like prep work, I guess you could say, like specifically for them. But I mean, we always get a game 5 against them, so it's a close match.
See, you guys are consummate entertainers. We talk about it. It's like, no, they're not losing on purpose. It's because they specifically want to be able to give the viewers a good match. I mean, no one wants to see a 3-0, but maybe that could be in the future. Where do you see this Winthrop squad going? Do you guys feel like you're still kind of refining your play style and figuring out how high you can take that ceiling?
I think we're all pretty confident. I think we are feeling just as good as ever. I mean, we started out rough, but we're feeling good now, so.
All right, and that's all I really need to hear out of Winthrop. And again, congrats on that victory. We're excited for a bit more. We're seeing your reporting come through, so clearly you're going up and higher in the table. Do you feel like you're a lock for those playoffs based on how you're playing, or do you feel like there's some dark horses that maybe the desk isn't appreciating enough based on who you've played?
I mean, I think we should be a for sure lock, but I'm not. I mean, I don't want to jinx it, but I think we're playing good enough to where we should be locked for at least top 4.
Okay, I was trying to walk you into the jinx, and I'll take that. It's close enough.
I'm not gonna take the jinx.
You had said you're locked, but let's just see if your guys are good enough to overcome that. Well, thank you, team, for sitting down with us. We'll let you get back to your squad. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Shout out my team. I mean, they both played great. I didn't really have personally a good series, but we were able to win still. So, shout out the teammates.
You're great, T. Love to talk to you, and of course, good luck in your future matches. Talk to you later.
Thank you. You too.
Well, there you hear it. I mean, they think they're locked for playoffs, and honestly, taking down Northwood, a team that I personally had ranked number 2 in all of CRL, is impressive. And sloppy or not, they got it done.
That's exactly what we need to see from this kind of a squad in Winthrop, right? Like, I think that second to last game was a wake-up call for Winthrop, especially with how one-sided it seemed at the start, and then we're able to turn things around, force that game 5 that we were hoping for at the start. And like the desk was, we were split for a reason. It went the distance. It could have easily gone the other way. I mean, last semester in this fall, we got to see Northwood take the victory in the exact opposite fashion, where they won the first one, lost the next 2, and then won the last 2. And then unfortunately for Northwood, they lost in game 7 in those championships against Winthrop in overtime. And I'm sure they're going to want this one back. But, talking about these teams, the potential for that top 4, Northwood seemed like they had things locked down, but what went wrong for them, Bass, in that second to last game?
I just think, again, it's TKRL really perfectly stated, which was that there's just sloppy moments for both of the teams. It wasn't the cleanest cut play for either side, and I think the problem for Northwood is that, again, when push comes to shove, this is a team that needs to stay grounded, needs to stay coordinated. They have that abilities, and I think it was at different times for each of the players where they would either hesitate on the ball that was clearly coming into their half, overthinking ways to transition for it. Again, a lot of plays that where they were like, all right, let's boom it and then try to get into a passing play. Guys, Winthrop are going to see that. If you send a ball down to the opposite corner for the 15th time in the game, they're going to know that that's going to be a long ball to nobody. So, like, again, there just has to be a little bit more of consistency for Northwood throughout those games, and I don't know, man. That's the only thing I really got for them. It's a good team, just not the same level of play through a full 5-game series.
Yeah, it's a tough spot for them to find themselves in, especially after such middling series that we saw ahead of time, right? They lost in 5 that we saw before against Fisher. And Fisher, they've had a decent look for themselves. I mean, just off stream, there's been some crazy results happening. We didn't even mention that. I mean, Taco, you said results were coming through. We saw a potential 3-0 sweep from Winthrop over Syracuse, who just looked so good against Wichita. And then Fisher, they played like 3 series today, 2-1 in that. They got reverse swept and won them by Indiana Tech. I mean, this is Collegiate Rocket League, and it is so hard to predict exactly how things are going. I wish the best for anyone using the channel points in chat, because I cannot full-heartedly say that one team or the other is guaranteed a victory in any of these series. And well, the evidence is exactly on your screen based on what we've seen happen so far today. I mean, first series, yes, it was a 3-0, but it was 1-goal games the entire way. And then the other one, complete upset. Davenport wins, Maryville look lost. And then this one, Winthrop are able to just push just enough to get the victory at the end of it. But looking into our final series of the day, it is going to be Northwood running it back for the doubleheader, but they will be facing off against Ball State, and this is a team that we're waiting to see exactly how they fare against them. But Northwood, we've seen them play these doubleheaders before. Usually they win one and then lose one, and I hope for their sake here, Taco, that it's not going to be the case.
Yes, it really does feel like some of these teams can get on unreal runs, and Ball State and outside leagues from CRL has looked ridiculous. They took wins in Nace over over Baylor, over St. Clair, and then lost to Bruton Parker. So you're thinking, okay, well, that seems a little topsy-turvy, but that, again, is what CRL is all about. So when we look at these two teams, I think it's very tempting for all you people who are investing channel points to say, well, this is a Northwood easy clap. I don't know about that. Ball State definitely has that ability to punch up, and I think we're going to be seeing it definitely in spades throughout this best of 5.
It's going to be tough. I mean, last go around, just referring to the history of these two teams, we saw that it was a 3-0 sweep for Northwood in the fall. And it's not the same roster is the big thing. We saw some struggles at the start for Ball State, especially in CRL. A tough spot for them to find themselves in, especially with a little bit of a new roster. They just came off of like some vacation before their first games, but Phoebes is that new player here as well. So I'm really curious, Seb, like what your opinions are on this Ball State roster and if they can match up against this Northwood team who just took a loss.
I mean, it might be the perfect time where you see two trajectories start to intersect. If you can imagine, it's just like on a chart where, you know, it might be that Northwood, they've dipped just a bit, yet Ball State continued to sort of rise and rise and rise by the caliber of their teams they're playing. And while, sure, they might not be, you know, competing for number 1, 2, or 3, maybe it might be enough to compete at the level that Northwood is currently at. They're coming off of a loss to one of the top teams. They have beaten St. Clair, so they are firmly kind of in that top 4 position, but this is a top, you know, a Northwood team that could be coming off tilted, and it might just be the perfect place, perfect time for Ball State to capitalize.
That is the thing. Will this be the time for Ball State to capitalize, or will Northwood lock in? I think a big difference between these two teams is that, unfortunately for Ball State, they don't have Percy on defense. We saw so many shots from Greaves in that last game, if they even have half of them. It's going to be a tough order to fulfill for this Ball State roster, but we'll see if they can pull it off at the end of it, get the upset, the second one, I guess, of the day that we will see on broadcast if Northwood does get taken down. The craziest part about this, because we've been talking about the craziness of the CRL, that might as well be the C in Collegiate Rocket League is for craziness, is that we've seen Northwood at the lowest that they've ever been in standings. They are currently, I think, 12th, and we see 13th for Ball State, which is not where we expected the semester to start here, Baz. So give us your prediction for this one.
Look, as much as I do believe that things could get a little wacky for the, I don't know, 3rd, 4th time here today, I do think there's something to be said about Northwood on the rebound being probably a bit upset at the loss they just took and wanting to correct their course. I think they're going to take this one. Again, Ball State and Northwood have gone back and forth through many years of play, but one thing has stayed consistent. Northwood regularly get the better of Ball State. I don't think today is going to be any different. One of these teams is coming off, both of these teams are coming off a loss earlier in the day, and I think one is going to respond to it a little bit better.
The wildest thing, too, is that Northwood has gone to Game 5 every single series that they have played so far. Is this going to be the one to break that? And who do you think is going to take it, Taco?
I think Northwood does take this because I think they have the skill set to be able to, but I will say Ball State is a great litmus test for that because you're saying, you're going to Game 5 a lot, but, you know, they are playing pretty good teams. I guess we'll see how it works out. Ball State is showing really high highs and some kind of confusing lows, but at least within CRL, it's kind of what you expect. I think that Oath and Gus specifically have looked phenomenal, but do not count out Phoebes. New addition, got added to the roster in place of Wova, and he's looked phenomenal. And we've talked to him. He's super confident about everything going forward for Ball State, so I think they're going to keep it close, but I do think Northwood has the edge.
Okay. We got 2 for Northwood. It's getting dangerously close to a potential desk sweep. Are you taking us there, Seb?
Oh man, it would be really bad if it was a desk sweep, wouldn't it? It'd be pretty bad. Well, why not? We love chaos here. Why not make our rankings even more confusing to do, even more than they already are? So yes, I'm going for Northwood. I think this is a team that it might just be a triangle of teams that are just sort of better than each other. If St. Clair beat Winthrop, or if, you know, Northwood have already beaten kind of St. Clair, it just might be a triangle near the top, or even 4 teams kind of interchanging wins. I just don't think Ball State is at that level yet.
Well, last time we did see a 3-0 sweep for Northwood, so I'm saying this is going to be their first one here as well. They're taking it the distance, and we are also going to be sweeping the desk. We said it last time that there would be a sweep when we swept the desk.
okay
I'm
with
saying
this
it
one.
here again. I mean, we're getting into
Surely we're not
troubled
wrong
waters
this
with the
time.
curses.
Surely.
Once
If we
a
get
year,
this wrong, yeah,
once
Take
a
my
year,
title.
Ball State turns into the best team on the planet. It's very possible they do it for this series. Like, very,
could be the
very
case.
possible.
Yeah, they did just have a 3-0 victory over Cumberland, and well, the team just won. Did also have a 3-0 victory over Cumberland earlier today, so that maybe that could be the same magic coming through the motions of the monitors for them from that. But they're going to have to put it their all into this series. Leave it all on the field for our final best of 5 of the night. The last of 2 matches for Northwood, and the most important one for Ball State to cement themselves as the better team in Collegiate Rocket League. All comes down to this as we take the field with our final duo and get into the last match of the evening. Take it away, gentlemen.
It's Northwood, a former dynasty whose pride has been wounded, trying to regain versus a Cardinal who's looking to soar high. It's our last match of the day, and this pitch is ready. Our casters are ready. And my name is Seb, and along with me is my lovely co-caster in Danger Taco. Let's get into it.
And we're looking forward to a banger here. Of course, the desk sweeps. And ordinarily, we just kind of laugh and say, oh, that might be a curse. No, it might legitimately be one, but Northwood is looking to dispel any doubt that we might have with a banger to start things off. So clearly not lacking for confidence even after taking a loss.
No, not at all. And I think this is a team, remember Northwood have been playing for a long time. Sure, Drury's new to this roster, but he's been around Collegiate for a long time, and hockey and creams, well, they've been through the works, especially hockey. So they know easily how to bounce back in high-pressure scenarios, or even just when they're down generally. So they have the confidence to make anything work.
Ooh, Phoebe's got to be careful on this one. He's not going to get that read. Hockey certainly will. Open net, and yet nearly gets it away, but not quite.
Yeah, this was honestly, first of all, great pinch by Hockey. That completely threw Phoebes off. Wasn't able to get the recovery either, and despite coming in from the back post, just was not quick enough. Perfect opening here for Northwood at 420.
And be able to get that first goal is nice, but also just shows Ball State you want to be able to stay close, but you can't creep up too much. As you said, Phoebes was not able to anticipate that from Hockey, but that's kind of the difference between some of these touches. Being able to get something creative, throw them off. Northwood's so good at that one, and Hockey just another demonstration of that, which you'd expect from the KG veteran, the oldest player, at least within CRL tenure in the lobby.
Not for too long. I mean, we know that Hockey, I forget if he's taking his masters or not, but either way, Drury, this is getting ahead of rotation, and now you see God try to make it work in the back line, but Drury just can't get enough speed to get around the ball and put it through.
Phoebes, I don't know how he gets that demo off, but he does get the ball passed, if only to go to Hockey from the ceiling. Drury tries to slap that one over Phoebes. No boost, no chance.
Midfield pass, beautifully done by Hockey, sees his duo, and from distance makes it work.
And a really nice placement there. Poor Phoebes, he's trying to cut across, and it's one of those awkward moments where you're trying to get from back post to front, and then the ball goes slightly behind you, hit the brakes, and you're already past it. You kind of just have to say, all right, well, GG, go next. Let's put down the controller, ready up for the kickoff. But Ball State already falling behind, but this is kind of what we anticipate. The initial speed from Northwood is immense, but as we also have seen in previous matches, Ball State has a great ability to adapt, kind of like with passing plays right there. That's over and off the bar, just barely over.
Hockey. Try and take it over in this midfield. Good cut as well, but a bit too quick for Creams to make work. Drew's just going to shadow this one and follow it as a third man to keep it in. This one is just ahead, but Creams will get there just in the nick of time to be able to keep this one out and look to solo it across as well, or at least force the issue. That's a bounce over Oates' head, but Gut comes in to cut it off.
Phoebes will be able to get that long clear. Creams is going to leave that for Drewy, so all Ball State has to just get back and get their boost and maybe cut this one off. Kind of like, I love the pre-jump, but even better read on the follow-through, so no real danger here. Oath tries to take it slow, and that is the penalty. It really does make you sweat when you realize, even when you're trying just for a half second to slow it down, you know Northwood's going to chase you down and send you to the afterlife.
That's what I mean, is that Northwood, when they're on, they are so oppressive, and they don't really give you any room. Now you see all three members of Ball State turn on this one, trying to take advantage of the slow rotation, but Northwood just recovers just as easily. A flick over one. Hockey makes it work with the wrist shot.
And you know, your voice starts getting shaky in the comms, and it's like, okay, I guess I'll just defend this one. Nope, you're going to get balled on by Hockey. You're on the outside. It's really hard to challenge for that position, but I don't really blame Ball State. You're slowly slipping from when you go from 1-0 to 2-0 into that measure of confidence where you're saying, all right, well, do we really want to press this super aggressively, or do we go from there? Either way, they're going to get a freebie off kickoff. I think a fake attempt from Northwood, but on the wrong coordination channel.
I thought it was either a fake, or I think Cream's meant to, challenge it in a different way, but either way, I think a bit of a miscomm there allowed things to open up for Ball State, so they're going to have a chance at this game with 2:16 remaining. Northwood, though, don't seem to mind too much. Comfortable lead for them, and also just comfortable gameplay altogether. I think Drury, especially recognizing just how much of a kind of liability he was in the previous match, and wants to change that attitude real quick.
And he can certainly try his best, but he can also just watch Hockey and Creams try to combine, as Hockey's just trying to go through every single player. He won't be successful, and neither will Drury on the follow-through. Phoebes, nice cut, lofted over where Creams read his mind. How about the putback, though? Oath from the corner, another dish. Goff, pre-jump, Bar says no again!
He even kept the jump for it too, perfectly placed for it too, but it just wasn't timed enough. Couldn't get the angle. Now this cutoff, potentially Oath is going to make things 3-2, and now we see Ball State within punching distance.
Really well done by Guh. I think he was waiting to see if Creams had a flip, or if he was going to be able to use extra amount of boost to poke it forward. And once Creams showed his hand, Guh, no hesitation, full confidence, dives on in. And luckily for him, Oath had enough boost to be able to immediately hit a U-turn and get that one through. Now off the kickoff, immediately one man down. Creams has to buy some time, and luckily did go to that corner, so we'll be able to provide that time.
Drury. Keeps racking it down the midfield. The Hockey has more boost. This is going to want to fall down. Hockey chases it down. It will be a 4-2 here for Northwood.
I said it once, I'll say it again. When you have an immediate follow through, anything is scoreable. This one looks like it's going to be blocked, but Oath takes that extra half second to see where it's going to go. Hockey already up and restores that 2-goal lead. That is good for Northwood, as you could feel a little bit that it might have been slipping away from them. Ball State, again, always going to be within the mix, and might be even closer as Oath gets this one off the ceiling for the pitch. Phoebes, the putback off the post. The putback again is denied. Pandemonium in front of the goal. Guh is shot into the Northwood goal, and somehow this is still a 2-goal margin.
How did Drury save that? He was able to get the backflip, and the ball just magnetized to his car. And somehow Northwood are able to stay alive, keep their insurance goal, and now a pass. Oath is going to send this back into the midfield. Guh chasing Creams, wanting him out of the server. Oath is going to try and do some damage. Phoebes puts it down low, and Drury can't stop this one.
Drury was actually rotating back, but he moved forward to grab some pad, and then as he does that, he's not in a position to get around it. Unfortunately, taps that one through, and that is what Ball State pressure gets. It was started, though, by Guh, seeking a demo downfield, and then after that victory, everything kind of dominoed from there off the 50 in the midfield. Northwood, a little shaky, but could they get it back off kickoff? Guh, make sure the answer is no for now.
Northwood just have to shut the faucet off. They need to keep this scoreline as is for the next 20 seconds with how Ball State are playing. They're playing much more aggressive, more proactive in rotation. Guh is going to take the wide rotate. Cream's going to look for the solo, but Oath gets the challenge. Last 10 seconds, Phoebes, Guh waiting to cook the 2v2, but it will be challenged away. Creams straight to Oath's arms. Any cutback? No, it's going to be left alone. Phoebes is going to keep it in the air. Northwood wanting to close this one now, and maybe a 0-second goal to go, but no, Northwood will take game one.
Oath had the 100 boost. He grabbed it in the corner, but he feels flipped halfway through. I think he might have been called off, or maybe he just didn't really anticipate being able to go for that in time. Either way, it is a fallen chance to him that he is unable to go forward with, and Ball State will take the loss. But a 1-goal game. It was back and forth. Northwood definitely needs to make sure it is perfectly clean in the backfield. Otherwise, this could get messy.
Can I point out real quick that of all the titles that Hockey has, compared to everyone in the server, his choice for title is like the SSL Snow Day title. That's cool. He is a hockey player, by the way. I don't know if you guys knew this, but he is a defenseman when he plays hockey.
Well, there you go. So, I mean, you got to live true to yourself when you're rocking it. The Season 1 Ice Titan, pretty hard title, not going to lie.
That is a very hard title, yeah.
But regardless of whatever Snow Day acumen he does possess, he is also one of the most experienced CRL players that we do have in the scene. And we're so lucky to have him because, I mean, when we talk about Mount Rushmore of CRL players, Hockey is a strong contender to be on that just because of all his accolades. And it continues, clearly. Northwood gets the victory here. They get nearly a victory over Winthrop in the previous matchup. So this is kind of, I think, a palate cleanser for them. They expect this to be a victory, but as we all know, we might have voted for Northwood, but Ball State kept that so close. I'm curious to see if Northwood says, okay, let's tighten it up, make sure game 2 is a bit more orderly from us in the backfield.
I think what's kind of crazy too is because Ball State never just went away, right? Like it never felt like, oh, you scored on us. All right, we're gonna have to tone things back. We're gonna have to make sure to stop the faucet and make sure that, you know, Northwood don't score. It's like, no, we are still going to throw the kitchen sink at you in an attempt to score and make this ever closer. And they did. It never really felt like they lost confidence at all, knowing that they could win that game.
No, and that's key, is that the moment I see players kind of commit to saying, they're just better, it's over. You have to understand that, yes, at this level, you have to have that utmost confidence that you are not only here for a reason in league play, but anyone is beatable so long as you trust in the game plan. Or when you shut down Drewy, someone's got to get up to her. And I think Phoebes sussed out he had no more boost, and luckily we'll be able to escort that one to the far post.
Hockey pops this one up. Look for the 50 with Oath, but Northwood just back on the train. With the offensive pressure, Hockey, flip reset over 1. Drew can't get the right angle, but you can see Northwood. They're trying to cook in winter, in Michigan. I don't know what you can cook in snow time, but, you know, it's good, apparently, for them.
I mean, I guess you start a fire. I mean, you can do a lot with that. You can also just, I don't know, go
start
inside.
a fire and...
You can just go inside. I mean, that's always the option.
There's that one, like, survivalman on YouTube who's, like, really good at starting fires and stuff, but, yeah.
We can teach that. That's a skill you need in the esports arena. You also need to defend because no one on Ball State is able to do that one. Nice cutout, setting up Hockey.
Not at all. This was just completely dismantled. Creams as well, being able to get up early for that touch. No second man coming in for that defensive rotate. And with that, Northwood relatively early coming in with the opening goal. Ball State just been put on the back heel for what feels like ages now.
Yeah, now Creams is getting that assist, cutting inside, just putting that one past that final defender, and he had a chance off that kickoff of getting started. And honestly, Creams has been relatively quiet throughout the series, kind of just been playing the midfield role, getting some saves off, and I think that's necessarily a problem. I actually really like it when we see one player expected to be the pop-off player, and they've been, I would say, not as present, but of course I say that. Look at a back pass, an easy one on the open net.
We love caster curses, yippee, because, you know, that's how it rolls. Creams will be able to get on the board, you know, in spite of Taco's words. So, 2-0 here for Northwood. Kind of rolling with the punches again, just continuously carrying that momentum over from game 1 on Forbidden Temple, and now Hockey is in a bit of an awkward spot. Oath is just patiently going to wait for him to use all the boost, and now it's a bit of a dangerous situation. Creams and Drewy are going to be able to collect. Gug gets the second touch, but what positioning from Drewy?
Yeah, understanding that he's definitely able to score that one. Phoebes can also get one here as Creams has to lean backwards to get that away. Poor Guv, if he had any boost, he might have been able to follow, but instead, he'll wait patiently for the next one, being the Oath 50 potentially. No, none taken. Creams actually dances past. He's trying to dish it middle, but nobody there. Just gonna have to take that 50 then go off the ceiling, down to Hockey. Highlight reel seeking, but none found.
Oh, if Hockey was in the right angle, that would have been a clip. You would have seen it on Twitter and Reddit maybe. Now Hockey is going to try and just bait out Phoebes, a decent challenge, and they actually recover from the double commit. Creams goes up high, but God beats him to it by a long shot. Oh, it's straight to Phoebes. Phoebes misses the shot.
It's a tough one. I think Phoebes was trying to place that in that lower 90. It was trying too hard. Sometimes you just have to get it on target, knowing that, yeah, it might be safe, but at least it might actually still go through. Clearly, you might have the speed, but maybe not if not for the bump coming through. Clutch play and the smarts being shown off by Hockey.
Yeah, defensive clutch as always, especially getting a defensive bump like that gives you just a bit of time, but also completely diffuses what would have been a massively threatening shot. And so Creams will take possession. He's going to try and get the pinch off of Hockey. It has speed to it, but Gut will cut it off. Drewy puts a shot on. Phoebes, little boost to speak of, but will be able to keep it up. Actually going to collect off the midfield, tries to get the second touch. Creams will dive for it to keep it out.
not quite from Phoebes, but honestly, it just really shows that some of the best opportunities are ones that Ball State has to create out of nothing, using their mechanics and their predictive abilities off each other. For like that one from Phoebes, trying to pre-jump it, and no such luck. So here comes Ga, immediately challenged by Hockey, and therefore he's not going to get this one. He might get another dunk as well, if not for Phoebes. Might have been on target.
Oath is going to carry this. Ga's in the waiting. Let's see, full tank Yas was even able to steal some boost, but he's just a bit hesitant in his positioning right now. Phoebes the last man back. He's going to buy some time so Oath and Ga can recover. But Ga, look at his positioning. He just continuously is playing that first man and trying to be a nuisance, and it pays off as Ga will be able to keep this close and give Ball State their first goal.
Excellently done, though, by Phoebes. A great first touch, and honestly, hit that one on the follow-through. Would have been clip of the day, but no, it's fine. We'll just take the ordinary one with Ga crashing the net, making sure that goes in, and again, keeping Ball State right in that conversation.
I think the fact that they can stay within punching distance is huge. The fact that they're able to not fall off just yet. Creams, oh my lord, straight to Hockey. Northwood says, nah, bye-bye.
I saw that indicator and I realized, oh, he's going to save that to the very last moment. Bang, off bar. And Hockey, he's been playing with Creams long enough to know, even if that's not going in, that's a freebie for me on the back post.
And again, just the duo chemistry that, you know, Creams and Hockey have developed over the amount of time that they've been playing together. Remember, we used to say that Hockey and Lion Blaze were that duo, but Creams has really fit in like a glove as to be that supporting partner to Hockey. And it's been really great to watch over the years, and it's times like that where you really get to see it shine.
And being able to find those clips in those weird moments, and also to show how dangerous you have to be, the respect from Ball State to know that we have to get on this challenge as quickly as possible. But when Creams gets a setup like that, you just have to kind of take your hands off the controller and just say a prayer. And maybe just say, like, that's the only way this is probably not going on target.
True. For Hockey, Got waiting for that last second. 18 seconds remaining, and thus far, Ball State, they continue to want to attack. Go will be able to take some boost, but Hockey is trying to remove the distance or just remove him from the server. Creams completely whiffs, or at least tries to leave it for Drewy. Oath is chasing this one down, wants to make it close, but at this point, it is done. Northwood will be taking this game and doing so quite confidently.
Yeah, it's unfortunate from Ball State, but again, it's quality from Northwood. They're so dangerous, they trust in their mechanics, and most importantly, they follow up everything because they trust even if they miss, they can get back. You saw the combination play, 2 assists and a goal from Creams, being able to get some points, but also distribute them as well. And when Creams starts to heat up, that's when I start to get worried about Northwood's opponents. You have to shut that down, especially since those first 2 goals were kind of just tap-ins because the rotation was not quick enough to get back.
Yeah, and that's the kind of main thing is that we're seeing Ball State, they're trying different things. The amount of seconds I think I saw God just chill in the offensive zone, waiting for his chance. Again, you have to be able to rely on Phoebes and Oath to be able to open up that section for you, to feed you those opportunities. And it worked once, and that's it. It never worked again. And I feel maybe Ga's positioning could be better used elsewhere.
I mean, when we do have those positionings questions, it is about, okay, we have to make sure we're on the ball, but we also have to make sure we're maintaining boost. It's also have to make sure that we're backing each other up to have staggered defense, and all of those things come together, and obviously that's the beauty of teams that rotate well. You're able to balance all those considerations. You make the right decisions at the right time, and when you're playing a team against Northwood, it doesn't really feel like there's a good decision to be made all the time. It's just about, okay, what's the most likely to not get me in trouble? And that seems to be Ball State's constant calculus that they're doing right now in their heads. Game 3, it's not about, okay, we'll figure it out in the next game. This could be your last game if you don't get it together. We don't see sweeps often on the main broadcast, but Northwood is determined to end this broadcast a little bit early.
One of us say that, I believe it was Vaudable who said that there's a pretty good chance for a sweep here because this was the result the last time that they played last year.
I mean, at the end of the day, when we do see these two teams play, I mean, we've had multiple results that you do score 3-0, 3-1, 3-2, and you could say, well, just choose your result because honestly, Ball State does have the capacity to play Northwood close, but historically it has definitely gone the way of Northwood, despite this being a kind of back and forth as Go gets every bit of that 50.
I'm telling you, dude, brother's been going to the gym, and it's showing. Go just demolishes Creams here, unfortunately, for him. As it'll be a 1-0 for Ball State. Finally, they're able to open things up early in the game, and hopefully for them, they'll be able to take advantage and keep that lead.
Sidestepping that demo and also almost getting that over Hockey, but Hockey said, no, you're gonna have to try a little bit harder than that. As Phoebes Gonna be throwing that one for Oath to follow up. Now boostless is Phoebes, which means Ga has to be the rescuer here off ceiling. Not the best positioning, and well done by Phoebes, escorting that to safety.
Got Drewy. Let's get the save. Got using every single second, millisecond even, to keep the amount of jumps that he has and go for that last second flip reset. Try and just edge out the Northwood defense. Oath is going to try and do the same thing. Phoebes is going to back away and look for the catch. Double commit to force this transition from Northwood will do so. Drewy straight over to Hockey. Hockey back to Drewy. You can see the play develop in real time, but it will get cut off.
Creams from the ceiling, double tap.
Peach.
How about a triple? But he's not going to have the angle. Oath is assuring themselves of that. Now with 0 boost, he needs Phoebes up in support, but he's also got nothing in the tank. Creams doesn't know that, so he'll get in immediately. Guh, getting cyberbullied, honestly, by the midfield as Northwood is taking an interesting route. On every counter, they ignore the ball, and they just start going for the follow-ups.
I think they're also just trying to set up their rotations way earlier than expected. You saw Creams just bounce way further back to try and anticipate what Ball State are going to be doing. The problem is that Ball State are one of the most wily teams you can play where you have no idea of what they're going to do next.
Phoebes lurking downfield. If he had a bit better of a head start, might have been able to get around that one, but either way, Phoebes might have to be necessary to take Creams off this ball. He's going to opt for just rotating back, and now he's got to get right into the goal. Potentially a shot, but apparently Hockey did not have the angle that he trusted.
Yeah, I think Creams also backed off of it too. Oath's gonna put this one high. Drew's gonna have to go for it. Thinks he got pre-jumping, trying to get a hand on. Hockey doesn't get the best touch they wanted and is gonna stick with it. Northwood gonna reset, but thus far they haven't had too many chances either. It's kind of been, they've been forced in their half, been forced to play a little bit more passive. The rotation sort of reflects that right now.
Really smart play by Guh there. He was last back. I've seen many a player dive in on that, not
Nice
make
angle.
a read, and then Phoebes overcommits, but that's why Oath, the veteran of the squad, able to get in the way. He's going to be in the way again to take on Hockey, who's going to sidestep that one. Creams, decent amount of space. He's going to shoot that one quick off the bar and then off a deflection with that orange trail.
I can think you can see Creams. He's just trying to force the issue, increase the pace of play, make Northwood wake up for a bit and realize that, hey, we're in a bit of a lull right now. We're playing a bit too comfortable. Despite that, Ball State want to punish, but they can't as it'll ping pong around the net. Hockey gonna get the flick over Guh. Can he force the issue? Drewy is going to keep this in play. Creams backs off, doesn't want anything of that.
Comms from Ball State are elite right now. Phoebes went early and specifically called Oath off so that he could get the rebound as that popped up and over. Guh, though, needs to make sure he's playing for these 50s. You do not want a deflection on target, especially as we're going down into the clutch here. 90 seconds as Ball State hoping to hold on, but Creams trying to make sure that it's a bit more slippery on the path. Pass down to Drewy, and Phoebes again intercepts.
Hockey, great catch, has to deal with Phoebes though, and really good play because it was able to make sure that he's able to get the mega the 100 boost out of that. Creams is going to be out, and so Guh looking for the second touch, just going to send it to the wall. The right demo by Creams, actually. This could open things up because now Drewy has a full tank. A demo as well is going to be traded. Still, Drewy wants the demo, and Hockey gets the tie.
I think I counted 4 in those fast 5 seconds. It was on there, Guh got a revenge demo, and then Guh got sidestepped, and then Phoebes get demoed. So everybody is getting countered out there, and ultimately, when it's a Hockey with a 1v none, it's going to go the way of Hockey. A brutal way to equalize, but my goodness, certainly no love lost between these two teams as the kickoff goes awry.
No way! In such a tight affair for Ball State, the worst mistake you could possibly make. 2-1 here for Northwood off the kickoff.
And sometimes you do get a little bit of a weird approach, but Oath, I definitely think, was trying to go for something else as Northwood goes and sidesteps that one, and maybe they might get punished for this one. But Creams making sure he does not. Beats 2 players, and now Phoebes gonna have to buy some time to ask for some help.
Hockey goes right around him. Drewy really bringing back his St. Edward's roots in this series. Oath over. Got no boost to speak of, trying to stick with it, and now the offense, you can even see Ball State, the desperation starting to kick in. 2-man up, even though there's little resources to speak of. All it takes is one single transition from Northwood to punish all of this, and it almost does. Goes a touch wide. Drew's gonna put another one on, but it's saved.
Phoebes trying to keep this one on his car because he knows Hockey is in his way, but that's actually an accidental pass to Guh. A lot of power, but not the direction pass. Drewy. Extension, lead demo, Creams in the corner, dispossess. Their counter is on, but do they have any boost? Oath with all of it, trying to beat out Hockey. Phoebes, the goal line stop is made by Creams. Another spike down. It is still up, but it needs to go coast to coast. Creams trying to spike it down. Drewy with an exclamation point. They don't need it. Northwood clutches up for the sweep.
And that is the rebound that Northwood wanted. After a tight affair against Winthrop and just barely taking the loss, a dominant win in their favor is exactly the kind of pick-me-up that this team needs to reaffirm their place as one of the elites.
And being able to win like that, again, shows it's so brutal, and it's not always about the box score when you look at the end of it and say, okay, you know, how many games they win? Oh, it's a sweep. Okay, not much to say about that. You can see with Guz's face right there. He's leaning back. He's like, we could have had that. That was very winnable. At the very least, could have gone to 4, but that is what happens when you do have Northwood on the other side playing like that. They're so dangerous. They need no invitation to get on forward, and you can see it just how many brutal counterattacks you saw throughout that best of 5.
You know what's a shame too, because I really enjoy how Ball State were playing. It's this really never say die approach of, hey, it doesn't matter how many times you score on us, we're still going to commit to every single possession that we have, and we're not going to give up even when we are down a man essentially in the defensive zone. We're going to send up Guh, we're going to send up Oath, we're going to send up whoever we need to so that we can disrupt, so we can make that play work the moment that we have that possession.
And you can see just how tumultuous things are as you look at the highlight reel here of this final game. You see these air dribbles, see these demos. I mean, the lead up to that Hockey double was just carnage, but that being the way to lose it, I mean, I don't really mind seeing Guh there leaning back in the chair. It's like, if you're going to lose anyway, you need it to be off a banger. You need to have them hitting the clip of their life. But when it's a kickoff that you try to calculate and you try to calm and you all just whiff and watch it roll in, I mean, that stings you right to the core.
And honestly, again, like I don't blame Guh for leaning back in his chair, man. Like, one, you're losing to Northwood. That's okay, right? There's 16 teams in this league play. You're not going to be better than all of them unless you're part of the very, very top. But I can imagine the disappointment because, you know, Ball State have taken some good wins, some really respectable wins. And I think that they thought they were just at the level where they were able to, you know, make this a bit closer. And despite the fact that it was essentially just a 1-goal scoreline almost all the way through, they probably felt that they could have done more.
Yes, we could have done more, but we could also do more on this show. We could close it out for one, so we'll bring back in the desk to see their reactions to us actually getting it right on the predictions.
Wow!
We did it! We didn't curse it for once.
Oh
but I
my
think
gosh.
the big thing is this is one of those universal constants, right? Northwood 3-0ing Ball State. We saw it happen last semester. It was a little bit closer this time, you could say, with the first and the last game being 1-goal differentials. And we really saw it get so close and down to the wire there. But Bass, I mean, this is the Northwood we expected to be showcased. I think this is just what happens when you don't have Percy on the other side.
I mean, there are levels to this game, and as much as I think we want to talk about Ball State being a quality team, I don't think that they have proven with their performance so far, nor the record that they have, that they're close to that top 5 caliber. And that's kind of like the real big breaking point right now. While we talk a lot about pretty much any team within the top 16 being able to exchange wins against each other, that also comes with the circumstances of a team maybe not playing to their best level of the day, or the other team playing above their level. When they're playing at the level that we expect, somewhere between said floor and ceiling, these are more the results we expect. This is more Northwood playing to the level we expect them to. This is Ball State playing to the level that we expect them to. So, well played by Ball State, but unless you're literally hitting your ceiling, I don't think you're taking down Northwood.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a tough spot to find yourselves in too, right? Because the teams that did face off against Northwood, we had Fisher, beat them in 5. Then we had St. Clair. They were doing pretty good, but they lost in 5. And then we saw Winthrop. Those are pretty good teams. So Ball State, they can take this one on the chin, I feel like, and be like, okay, you know, we played competitive. We had 1-goal games against them, but unfortunately we didn't get the wins that we wanted. And I feel like game differential is going to become more and more important here, Taco, as we go along, because so many series have gone down to the wire, so many reverse sweeps, so many game 5s. I mean, how do you lock in for these teams that are looking towards the rest of the semester and seeing the gauntlet that they have to go through for the rest of the matches?
Well, it's why I like league play, because you don't have to argue about like, oh, one team got an easier schedule. Like, no, everyone plays each other, so everyone, that kind of gets wiped out. It's about head-to-head, but also game differential we've seen multiple times. You'd think with so many teams, you know, there'd be a little bit more of a disparate spread, but no, it isn't. It comes down sometimes to that final slot because, hey, you swept enough teams and hey, you went to too many game 5s. Doesn't matter if your series score are the same, there's going to be that gap. It's about being efficient. It's also why you see teams on air, they lose one silly game and they win 3-1, and in the back of their mind, they're like, yeah, I'm glad we won, but is that one game going to start building up if we keep giving those away? So I definitely think Ball State is upset for 2 reasons. Never feels good to lose, especially to a team you feel like you're at a similar level to. But I think you understood that those games definitely could have slid either way. 1-goal games multiple times. So I feel for Guh, but we see the talent. It's just about building on it.
Exactly, yeah. There's so much talent in Collegiate Rocket League, and we have a very talented player joining us on the desk for an interview. I get to go one-on-one with Drewy here from the winning team in Northwood. Drewy, how does it feel to finally get a sweep in CRL?
It feels great. We've had a lot of stressful series. I think every series that we've played besides this one's gone to 5, so it's nice to close off the day with a sweep.
So new face on the roster for Northwood. It's a very historic program in Collegiate Rocket League. What made you make the decision to make the jump to this team and compete with them in CRL?
I've known the players for a long time. I kind of came up with them a little bit. They were kind of the generation before me. I know they're good and I know they're talented. So for the CRL perspective, it was just an upgrade. And then for the school aspect, Northwood just has great programs, and the cybersecurity program is what I'm doing, and it's something that hasn't really been offered at other schools I've gone to, and I was really interested in that. So that's kind of the logic behind my decision.
It's great to hear that there's like a sync on the field and off the field with the program for you. Now that you've gotten this 3-0 victory, what is the goal for you and your teammates towards the rest of the semester in CRL?
I think just building on the win. I mean, I think there's kind of a clear skill gap in CRL. There's like 7 really good teams, and just making sure that we do good against those teams as the top spots for the championship is going to be really competitive, and just kind of focusing on those series and taking every series seriously and winning, obviously.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to make you list all 7, but out of the opponents you haven't faced so far, which are you kind of dreading the most that you think is going to be another tough opponent similar to the Winthrop series that we just witnessed?
I would say that Maryville is probably the toughest. Obviously, on paper, they're probably the strongest roster in CRL. And then Baylor as well. They've been looking really nice. So I'd say those 2 teams are definitely the teams I'm looking out for.
Well, last time, and this will probably be my last question for you before shoutouts, we saw Northwood unfortunately fall earlier on in the fall championship. What are you and the team kind of working on to change your fate going into those potential playoffs?
Just building a system, making sure we're comfortable, making sure we have a game plan, and sticking to that as best as possible, even if the mechanics aren't feeling the best on the day. Just making sure we're comfortable and having good vibes and all that.
Like to hear it. Keep the comfortability and good vibes up as much as you can. Well, any final thoughts and shoutouts that you have, Drewy? The floor is yours.
Shout out the Northwood boys, obviously. Put up a good fight today. And then shout out my family and all the supporters. Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you, Drewy. We'll send you away to celebrate with the rest of your team.
All right, thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Well, there we have it. Feels confident, the vibes are good, and they're comfortable with their teammates. Got a good program there at Northwood for cybersecurity. We can hear from Drewy so many potential prospects, but here's also the reactions from you guys on the craziness that we saw at this goal line that somehow the ball didn't go in. I mean, Seb, you had some thoughts about overall CRL, but what are your thoughts on this one?
I was so baffled with so much of the series. I know I'm not the most reactive caster or whatever, whenever I'm kind of going because I'm locked in, but I was freaking out internally, and I'm just trying to dissect exactly the motivations of why people are making certain decisions. It felt like so much Ball State were just on the edge of really doing something great, and then the moment like that last goal there, the moment that they do something fantastic, it's just an error, just falls apart, and unfortunately was a prime case of it throughout the course of the series.
Tough spot to find yourselves in for sure on the end of the barrel for Ball State, but we saw so many shots coming in through from Northwood, and kind of leaning in on that interview and the answers that we saw from Drewy there, Bass. I mean, this is kind of the Northwood we were hoping to see in the other series.
No, I am muted. That is me muted. Excuse me. Yeah, again, we didn't see necessarily a bad version of Northwood in the other series. I think the big issue that we saw was just an inconsistent version of them. But again, this is sort of what we expect, is that teams are going to need to get back into the flow of Collegiate Rocket League. I don't think all of these squads are necessarily prepared. I'm glad to hear that Drewy and the team are taking it seriously, though, because we've had a handful of teams that we've talked to, a handful of players that have touted this as hockey's retirement run. So, look, man, if the team's locked in, don't doubt hockey. That's all I'm going to say.
There we go. Don't doubt hockey. That's what we like to see. I mean, hopefully they don't doubt themselves as well going into those final matches. And Taco, I mean, we heard from Drury himself saying that Maryville is kind of that top team to look out for the rest of their matches, but we didn't really see that today. So what do you think needs to change across the field for these teams to really lock in?
I feel like Maryville's losing goodwill points from the community lately because everyone says that. Like Maryville, basically they should be the best. Yeah, they should be the best. Yeah, they might be a loss, but they should be the best. Oh, they went to Game 5 at Syracuse? That's fine. They still should be the best. And with each loss, I feel like eventually people are going to start being like, I guess they're not the best because they haven't been able to show up. So they get their 3-0s. It makes us believe in them. You know, it feels like kind of a tough push and pull relationship. We need to go to counseling with Maryville as analysts because it's like, this can't work if you don't show me a little bit of consistency. I need consistency from you, Maryville. I can't keep breaking you in the top 5. Anyway, I just had to get that off my chest. Sorry.
Speed about to be in our DMs like right now.
See, that's the problem with this entire statement, though, is that we're saying all of this, and we're still all going to rank Maryville top 5. Just off on paper alone, they're good enough that you have to.
You have
Dude, this team could lose to this team could lose to anybody, and I feel like our argument is going to be, they're going to rebound. Because you know inevitably, after this loss, they're about to go 5-0 without dropping a game.
Gonna get 4 perfect sweeps, so it'll be like, all right, next prediction.
They're not gonna drop a goal for like 2 weeks, and we're gonna have to sit here like, how do you rank this?
Listen, Bass, that remains to be seen. That's all we can say.
You know what we do need to take a look at, though? We have to look at the results from today because they were kind of all over the place, but we had a fun time to say at the least. And, well, looking through them, Syracuse with a 3-0 victory over Wichita. Maryville getting 3-1, not even a Game 5 by Davenport there. Cam really putting his foot down on the competition. Northwood unfortunately lost at the end of it, but Winthrop will rally back and get their win there to go 3-1 positive with their rating, in Northwood maintaining an even record with the 3-0 over Ball State. Finally, not a Game 5. This is massive for them there. I mean, we just gotta say the elephant in the room is really that Maryville Davenport, Seb.
Yeah, I think Kevin was aura farming the entire time and just shook Maryville so much in the background and just couldn't do much. But I think, and this is kind of going back to the question that we had previously about, league play and why sort of league play and these individual matches matter in terms of game differential. One of the main things is that, these losses matter. Not just, we talk about Maryville will go on like a 6-0 run. They'll, be top of the leaderboard. But and we've seen this in the past, even when we had previous league play. At the end of that season, when we are looking back at some of the seedings, we're going to look back at, Maryville shouldn't have lost that. Northwood shouldn't have lost that. Or, they went to a Game 5 with, Wichita or something like that when they really shouldn't have. But those matches are probably going to be some of the most important by the end of the season. They're going to have the most tangible effects on seeding and on ranking.
So much to talk about with seeding and ranking. Speaking of that, let's take a look at the standings currently. There's still some more results coming in because there were so many matches played off stream. So Bass, I mean, what's the biggest outlier here for you?
Part of me wants to say Maryville at their current rank. Again, I know that hasn't necessarily been updated at this point. I think Akron Gold's another team that we have to continue shouting out. I don't know where Akron Gold is going to end at the end of this one, to be quite frank with you. They're 2-2 currently, but they've taken wins over Winthrop, and they've taken losses to teams you do not expect. Again, this is a really hard one to try and read just because we're not even halfway through the season for most of these teams. I do think the fact that they are now at their halfway point and still at the bottom, Ball State 2-5, man, that just hurts to see.
Yeah, it's a rough spot to find themselves in, especially because they've been having some decent opponents throughout the competition up to this point in time. But there's just a rough spot kind of towards that, you could say, like, 10 and below for the most part. I mean, even Cumberland took 2 losses today, and they were looking on top of the world for a bit there, especially after looking so strong against WVU. And even that squad is struggling themselves. So many teams around kind of the same numbers. That's why Northwood getting a 3-0 made them jump 6 rankings from 12 to 6. So as close as it can be, really, we really just need to see Baylor actually perform themselves. So a lot of tough matches to come through here. Ball State, of course, they will be a little bit higher because they did get a victory over Cumberland. It just hasn't been reported yet. So 3-5 technically on those ratings does bump them up a little bit there as well. Wichita, unfortunately, officially can no longer place first due to the losses that they have had against the other teams so far. So still could potentially make top 4, and that would be a miracle run to say the least, but got the LCQ to look forward to there. What we do need to talk about next, though, speaking of that LCQ, is the open standings one more time. Again, the final 3v3 open will be happening this Thursday, so definitely recommend checking out those community broadcasts. We saw Mr. Bepic, Somber, Borky putting some on. Shu was doing some as well. Shout out to them, too. I mean, I don't know if you guys will be hopping in the booth for those either, but there's some great competition to pay attention to there. Top 8 only making it through. Doc, I'm going to put you on the spot. Who you think's going to make it? Who you think's going to not?
Honestly, this is dangerous too because it's also entirely dependent on seeding. All seeded teams that have points, so all the teams you see here and more, will auto be seeded, so they'll be at the top of their pools, which means there's a lot of pressure to show up. If you get in the same pool as a team ahead of you, if you do not bury them and get ahead of them, you will miss out. It's a win or go home situation. I love how even everything has been, and with a multitude of multiple bracket winners, because we have BBC, Columbia, and George Mason with those 2 open victories. You get 5 per win. That's great. They might be guaranteed, but we can't even say that unless they show up. That's what I like about this open. So if you guys have a favorite team, even if they're 13th, 14th, like Fisher, Navy, Conestoga, they still have a chance. They just got to win out and beat out everyone ahead.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough competition to say the least for those teams. But if you don't really care as much about threes and you just want to have some fun with a buddy on a campus, well, there is something for you to look forward to in Collegiate Rocket League. It's the 2v2 Opens registration. You got to register now because registration closes on the 17th for that. So hop onto Rocket League. If you go to the same college as one of your classmates, you might as well get in some twos action on April 23rd at 7 p.m. kickoff. And it's going to be kind of a similar style to those 3v3 brackets. So definitely recommend checking those out there. But that's all the time we have for the show today, gentlemen. It's been a really eventful day for results. I'm sure we're going to get a lot more throughout the week. We'll also have, those teams locking in for that LCQ. There's going to be some time as well between now and that next broadcast. We'll have at least a week break on the stream side of things, but the teams will still be playing, trying to get those results in. So final thoughts going down the line, starting with Bass.
I mean, we say this every single time that we end one of these broadcasts. This is the closest CRL has ever been, without a doubt. And I think the results today prove it. I think the quality of the teams that are showing up is kind of proving it. And it's why we continue to ask that people just continue to stay as locked into the scene as physically possible, man. There are results everywhere. We encourage you guys to go watch the 3v3 Opens. Encourage you guys to follow the players in the individual universities that are here to see these results that are happening off stream. Again, while this broadcast was going, we had broadcasts from Royales doing his POV for Fisher. Cumberland had their own broadcast. St. Clair had their own broadcast. I think Ball State might have had one at one point as well. Like, there's broadcasts across all of Collegiate Rocket League. There's never been a better time to dive into the collegiate world, and I implore more of you at home who maybe have just seen this as a post-RLCS thing, another broadcast, tune in more, man. This stuff's awesome. It's an incredible world, and we encourage you to join us in it.
It's going to be a great time. How you feeling, Taco?
I mean, I feel great. I also think that people need to be prepared for the tsunami of results that are also going to be coming down the pike. Because hypothetically, teams are scheduled for about like 3 series a week, and we are in week 3, and we have teams that are 2-2 or 1-2. So there's going to be a lot of results coming through. So if you guys are like, oh man, no, my poor team, they're in 14th place, don't worry about it because there's so many games to play for all of them. Really, it's only Fisher, I think, in the lead right now. I think they've played 9 of their series so far, and even that means they still have 6 to go. So
means they're on track.
They're the ones actually on schedule. No, they're ahead. No, they're exactly where they're supposed to be. They're the ones actually doing their homework. All those other students, they definitely procrastinate. They write their essays the night before, guaranteed.
Sounds like it's coming from
It's a
personal
strat, man.
experience there, Taco. But Seb, final thoughts from you.
I'm so excited to see us really get into the thick of it for the season. I'm excited to see, all of the teams start to really materialize on that standings list. Obviously, when it comes to the community involvement, it's been really great. There's going to be a lot more matches. If you want to stay informed, just go on Twitter. You can find all the scores online from several resources. A lot of people contribute to this. Of course, as the Canadian myself, seeing the standings, love to see St. Clair on top. That's the boys right there.
He gets none of this. He gets none of this. Alex already said you're not allowed to claim this. You have barely rated them this season.
No, I don't care. I don't
even
care.
on a broadcast with St. Clair not even on the schedule, he still finds an excuse.
They
to
are
throw out the
defending
jersey.
their title.
It's the
They're
first time
running
all
with it.
season he's actually repped them, so there's that.
That's crazy. That's crazy. But either way,
Fraud watch.
this season is going to be incredible, and it's only going to get spicier from here. So you guys should tune in whenever it's on the main Rocket League channel because it's so much fun.
Like I said before, we are going to be having a bit of a break toward the next CRO broadcast. It is going to be the 5th of April, 7 p.m. time as well. Got to give, a little bit of a breather, some wiggle room for RLCS action that will be occurring right before then. But just make sure you're still locked in and tuned into the Collegiate Rocket League scene. It's so many results to come through. Make sure you follow all of us on socials to keep up with it, and we'll see you next time.
Welcome to the undefined. to the undefined. Welcome to the undefined.